We're live. I'm so tired of tech. I pride myself in being a good engineer. For years, I've prided myself in being a good engineer. And now, in this new world, I have no freaking idea what I'm doing. Look, and the thing is there. Okay, so wait. That's me. Oh, wait, so why are you even there? You're not supposed to be there yet, Sarah. I'm supposed to do this, and it's supposed to be just me. And see, you're not supposed to be there yet. And it's supposed to be this other... I am so... Welcome to... What am I doing? We're live. People already... I bet the first chat is going to be like, what the fuck is Tom talking about? That's the first chat thing that's going to come up. And oh yeah, and I have your music blasting, so I'm sitting here whining and moaning, and people probably can't hear me. Either that or they're like, shut up, I'm trying to enjoy the song, Tom. Here's the artistic fade out. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, and I'm on camera, and I'm not even looking at the fucking camera. This is Live Stream of Conscience. My name is Tom Bianchi, in case you didn't know that already. Welcome to the show. What's going on? We have Sarah Blacker this week. Okay, that's off. This is off. I don't know what's going on with the tech thing. I don't know if I'm quiet. I don't know if I'm loud. I don't know if I'm on all of the medias that are the Facebook, social, whatevers. This is show number... I don't know. I think it's show number 6 or 7. You know, I have a lot of time on my hands. You'd think I'd be keeping track of this stuff. But I don't know. I did the Lizard Lounge for a year before I counted backwards to figure out how many shows I was at. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of fucking shows. And then at some point we ended with, I don't know, 500 and change. So I don't know if this is going to get to that. I don't know if this is just a COVID thing. I don't know if this is a new podcast that will live on and on and on. All I know is I'm winging it. We're doing it. We're live. We got this thing. We got these platforms. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. You see the tips and all that stuff and the broadcast. Anything you throw in our direction goes to Sarah, goes to me, and I take 10% and I send it to the Beth Israel Special Nurses Fund, because nurses freaking rule. Angels in sneakers, angels in comfortable shoes. So that's the true story. I had like a monologue thing planned, and I don't have it ready to go because I'm an idiot. Sarah and I were talking, like, we did a sound check at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and we've been talking the whole time. It's like we blew all the material for the podcast, either that or we rehearsed all the material. So all the laughter you hear is completely fake. We've done this perfect in rehearsal. I don't know. I'm talking myself spiraling down into like, why am I tuning into the show? He's making it less and less appealing. I'm going to pull the card. What is that show? The one with the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? And they're like, I'm pulling my friend card. I'm pulling my savior card. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Sarah Blacker is our guest tonight on Live Stream of Consciousness. How is that for the worst monologue you've ever heard in your life?
I thought that was pretty impressive for winging it.
Yeah?
Considering we ran out of all our good material before the show.
We did. No, we kept touching it, and then we were like, save it for the podcast.
Save it. The PH modality. The FODcast. PHODCAST.
Podcast with a PH.
PH balanced. I would say this podcast is pretty well balanced, though, because you're asking a lot of important questions, like what the hell am I doing with my life? You know, how many of these have I done? What is going on? Yeah, but your smile and everything, you know, you're doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. We're doing a lot more than some people that are Netflixing and chipsing.
We're hanging live. We're doing this.
Are people still doing that? Just like sitting on the couch all day?
I have no idea. Well, what have you been doing? What are you up to? How you doing?
I'm good. I am good. I can finally, like, honestly and wholeheartedly say that I'm doing well. You know, there was rough sailing, as there was for all of us for quite a while. Like, what happened to everything that I knew and what happened to everything I built. Tom and I caught up a little while ago when you were biking through my city.
So do you mean COVID based? What the hell is going on, or just was something going on before COVID? If you don't mind me asking.
I think that's like a pretty big question. Do we have a lot of time to get into that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's talk till like midnight.
Yeah, we have all. We do whatever we want.
Okay. No, I mean, I think a lot of this time has asked all of us to sort of reevaluate and recompose our lives from what they ever were to what they are now, and what they might be in the future, but we don't really know. But yeah, I had told you that I left my activities director job on February 29th at a nursing home. So I was running a department of creative arts people and activities therapists and a music therapy program. And I had wanted to, yeah.
You left the nursing home right before COVID.
I sure did.
Like,
February
you didn't know,
29th.
With the 2 and 2 didn't go together yet as with any relation. Yeah.
Not
Wow.
even close. My husband was just like, I think it's time for you to leave because I had had enough. I was burnt out.
Yeah.
And I'd been playing with that idea for a long time. So yeah, it ravaged.
Did you have something lined up, or you were just like, I'm out of here and I'll figure it out?
No, I did. I had like a bunch of contract music therapy jobs lined up, a ton of gigs. You know, everything was a pretty smooth transition, and I wasn't going to fade out of there until that was the case. And then it was. And then, you know, everything happened, and everywhere I was going to work got hit really hard, and I got furloughed, and gigs got canceled. Right. And so the nursing home was hit really, really badly. So, yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
So
was it hit bad? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a stupid question, you know. I guess.
I mean, pretty much everyone there got COVID. A lot of people didn't make it. A lot of people did make it, but it was like, you know, they had the FEMA in there testing everybody. They're still getting tested every week. I'm still doing some virtual and outside in-person stuff with them. But it was really, really devastating to be like, oh my God, I just left basically my extended family of 123 grandparents, and, you know, I was like their source of joy, planning everything meaningful in their day-to-day life. And then I just left, and it was like, now your whole world is just upside down and you can't leave your rooms. And
right.
So yeah, it was tough to not be there with them and for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah. And so you're really too much time to reevaluate any decisions and what to do going forward.
Yeah. And I think probably like a lot of us, you know, it was hard to even say, okay, it's reasonable for me to make plans for the future because everything is so up in the air. But I say I'm good now because I have made plans and set things in motion, and I've rebuilt everything from scratch. So as we all have, it's like a totally new reality. Yeah.
So I mean, it's so funny. It's like we can talk about like phases of this, because like,
right,
you know, the first phase is like, well, you know, I remember when we were like, well, April 30th, they're going to shut it down till April 30th. That makes sense. Give everybody some time to regroup, and then May 1st, things will be normal.
Right.
And then that phase one, well, that's not going to happen. Well, maybe by the summer. Phase two, well, that's not going to happen. And now here we are, and it's like 6 or 7 months out, you know.
Between that, you know, like dead panic set in. I was talking to my dad today. I'm like, I remember, you know, being afraid to drive down the road with my windows down. Like, is this shit going to jump in my car and like into my throat and I'm going to die? Like, what's even safe?
In the beginning, like, I'm on a motorcycle doing 60 miles an hour wearing a mask.
Stay away. Right.
Like,
you can't touch me.
I'm afraid to catch COVID on 95.
Right, because it could be just in the person next to you's
the mask. You're
like, at least the flies aren't in my mouth.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I know. So that was. I think we all went through the holy crap phase, and then it's like, okay, well, at what point do you decide it's okay for me to move forward and start setting goals about the future?
Yeah. So now what?
So I've been wanting to get my master's for a long time. Like I said, I'm a music therapist, but I've been wanting to get my master's in clinical counseling.
I've been a music therapist at this place for years, but I never went to school for it. I just went in like, hey, let me therapy you guys.
Right. I'm going to therapute you.
I'm gonna therapy.
Come over here. Give me your baggage.
I'm going to therapy the fuck out of this place. I'm a good therapeuta.
Yeah, I got therapies in the back of my head. Turn around. Turn around. Therapies.
Wow.
There are pies in the fridge if you want a slice. Okay.
Open a dessert place right next to the clinic. Therapies. That's it.
Imagine, that's like brilliant. Imagine.
Put a little stage in. We got musicians all day to play Therapies.
So you'd have like recipes tailored to each person's preferences, but then you'd throw in some like Klonopin or Trazodone or
the anger management omelet. Yeah.
The chill out ciabatta.
Hey, that's good. That's good. That's good.
I think we're onto something.
The Zeesh, I've had enough quiche.
Oh my god. Oh boy. I feel like I'd like to come up with another one, but
yeah, no, we should probably stop right there.
Let's just talk about that for the rest of the time.
That's amazing.
Therapize. You better write that one down because
I literally just did.
Good.
I literally just opened up a note and wrote it down. I literally
Therapize.
just did. That's amazing.
Therapize.
That's amazing. You're sitting guitar in hand right now.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm sort of a comfortable place.
Have you been doing the COVID writing at all? What's it been like as an artist? You know.
So yeah, I have. I've been going through. I set an unreasonable goal for myself to write a song every day. That lasted like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I have done some streaming. I've done some outdoor shows. I've done. Tom was playing my single at the beginning, which I recorded and wrote and did that whole thing for a brand new song. I feel like my husband's listening to some metal music.
That was cool. Yeah, I can hear that. That's all.
Yeah.
Aaron's rocking in the back.
He's rocking.
A-rock in the back.
A-rock cats.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a departure from production you've done in the past. It's a little like kind of electronic drums or something, or
it's called GarageBand is my friend when I'm at home.
Did you do that all on GarageBand?
I did, yeah. I recorded and played all the instruments and mixed it and
those drums,
had somebody master it.
I wouldn't have guessed those drums were GarageBand. I would have guessed there was some fucking fancy smancy samples or something, you know, like in studio, like, you know, like Sean made some drums for you or something like that.
Straight GB. I was gonna go record an album with Sean, but I had plans to do a big Kickstarter and get that all rolling. You know, leaving the job, I was like, okay, time for contract work and recording an album and more gigs. And then I was like, I'm not gonna ask anybody for any money right now because no one has any to go around.
Yeah, now it's not the time for a Kickstarter. I don't think. Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Not that I haven't seen it.
I know, and some people have been successful at it too, and I'm like, good for you, man. If you're you know?
I was wrong about Kickstarter from the start. I suppose I have to say, right from the start, I didn't like it as a concept. I didn't like the idea of someone set me straight, or at least put me described it to me in a certain way that made me go, all right. Like, to me, it's like, you know, I don't like the image of like the singer-songwriter begging for change, even though I was a busker at some point. You know what I'm saying? And I also don't like unfinished business. I don't like the idea of like somebody giving you a shit ton of money and then it might take you a year, it might take you 2 years to put a record out. You know, it feels like unfinished. But again, and this is just me. And I don't know if I still feel this way anymore. And then someone said to me, they were like, Tom, this is, you know, people used to complain about record companies and all their control and how record companies ruled everything and you couldn't do anything without a record company. Well, what Kickstarter is doing, it's making your friends and family the record company. They're funding it for you. You're not giving your music away. You're not signing bullshit contracts. You're not getting screwed by a third party. You're not getting strung along. It's like it puts all the control in your hands, and you know. And it, you know, I mean, I suppose it can be abused in the ways I would fear it being abused. Like when someone does a Kickstarter and, you know, it takes like 5 years. Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. But so I haven't ever done a Kickstarter, and
you've never done one?
No, I did for the Baker Thomas Band record in 2011. I did like a pre-order.
Right.
Essentially the same thing.
Well, that's what I think, like, when you talk about the way that you used to view it, my manager, when I was doing my album In Waves, he was like, you know, don't think about it like you're asking people for money, you're asking people for a pre-order. And that shifted things for me. And he didn't like Patreon for that reason, because it was kind of like you're asking people for money. But I think it's like a subscription, you know, when you think about it that way. But I've done fundraisers. I actually did a fundraiser via like messages. I don't even know how I did it. Like through my website for my first album in 2009, before there was even Kickstarter, or I think like Kickstarter was just starting. But I was like, screw this! I'm not giving them a percentage of my money, so I just did it on my own.
Too, yeah.
But I've done one for every album, and I think it's really, it allows people to get stuff and feel like they were a part of creating something. I will say it's a ton of work. You know, it's a ton of work. And when you have to mail all the... I remember, like, holding up the line at the post office. I had, like, 200 little orange envelopes. I'm like, sorry. I'd do, like, 15 and then let someone else go and be like, all right, I'm back.
When COVID first went down, I was sitting on 50, 80 T-shirts. 24-hour concerts T-shirts. Now, my concert series was doing great.
Yep.
Like, it's a small business. And it was in year 5, and year 5 is when you know your thing is gonna go or fail, and it was going.
I can't believe it was year 5.
Yeah, you know.
Amazing.
And so I had these T-shirts made, and I was literally just gonna. They cost me $600, $700, $800, something like that. I was gonna give them away, write it off. I was gonna give away a ton of T-shirts. This is so I can just be like, hey, you know, just fucking, hey, I would
wear this.
Hey, Tommy T-shirt, have a shirt, Great. You know, hey. And so I'm sitting on these shirts, and COVID goes down, and a month or so passes, and I'm like, well, fuck, I gotta make some fucking money. So I put them up. I started selling them. I was like, you want to help me support the thing? I started selling for $20. And
sweet.
I'm on a tangent now, but bottom line is, I went to the post office during COVID. In like March or April, like it was fucking freezing, you know, and you couldn't go in. Everybody's outside online, and I got like a box of T-shirts.
Oh my god! I need packing materials too.
Yeah, I was in there. I was in there for like forever, forever.
Oh, you're brave.
Forever.
Braver than I. I was like, I'm never going to a post office again.
Oh,
I remember someone mailing out postcards to like individual supporters of their Patreon. I'm like, don't do that. I'm like, just go get the stamps and do it from your neighbor's mailbox.
It's so strange. I just went for a walk. It's such a strange world. How's it been up in Salem?
I mean, I have to say Salem. No, it's fine. Salem's like kicking ass. It looks like Europe right now, and I think you and I were talking about this. It's so beautiful. Like all the outdoor patios and the eateries. I mean, it sucks when things get colder and people can't do it anymore. Obviously, Salem's known for outdoor action all the way through November.
Right.
But I haven't really been out to eat. I've been to a brewery and that's it. But, I mean, everybody's wearing masks, which is really nice. It's mandated to be so. So it feels busy. The traffic's back. It was nice when there was no traffic. But now I'm seeing all the license plates from all over the place, staying at the Hawthorne Hotel. And, you know, it's if I feel like when I don't watch the news, it's pretty insular. And when I put the news on, I'm like, shit, like 1,000 cases here, there, the other place, you know. But we have free testing going on, and people are not being stupid.
Have you been tested? Have you tested yourself?
I have. I've been tested once, and I've been considering... I went to go get another one, and the line was like 2.5 hours long.
Was it the stick in your nose test?
Yep.
It
was the best I've ever breathed. The best I've ever breathed. I was like, can you do the other side?
We were having a conversation about this yesterday. Did they do it for you and was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Or did they give it to you and tell you to do it?
No, he did it for me, and I just shut my eyes and dissociated and was like... bunnies, kitties, yay! And then
we were talking. My friend Jim last night said they did that to him, and it was like they literally poked his eyeball and made him cry.
Oh, no.
But then Danielle said that they were like just gave it to her and told her to stick it in like an inch or so. Which is something I should never say in public again. But
wait, what'd you say? Like a what?
No, I don't know what I said. I just whatever. I'm not going to repeat myself. It wasn't worth repeating. It wasn't clever or funny.
Post-show chat?
Yeah, but they just gave her the thing and like told her to do it, and she did it. And then she said a couple of other friends of hers, they didn't do it. So she was like, it's not that bad. But like,
I think I've heard both, but when they do it, they definitely, it's like brain probing.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, man. For a couple of days, I had like no congestion. I was like, wow.
Wow, it affected you for a couple of days?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
screw
nuts.
Afrin. Put that shit up
Wow.
there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. But it was only one-sided. I was like, just
I'm gonna go for a
the other
jog.
one? I'm gonna go back around and you just put it in the other one.
Put your hair up in a hat and like,
Yeah.
hello, my name is Sarah. I don't know what
God.
accent that was. You just where are you from? I don't know.
I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know where I'm from. I just got here. I was waiting.
Where do you think I'm from?
You guess. Go.
Oh my goodness.
Well, too bad
I
too bad
don't know
nothing's
what-
funny.
Yeah, we were talking about. I mentioned the guitar, and you were talking about songs, and I
Oh, yeah.
guess I was trying to
Stream of
bump towards
consciousness.
that's live stream of Tangent is what I
I felt
should
what
have.
you were doing. He's like, you want to go towards playing a song, and then I was like, let's talk about nasal probing
Yeah, we got
for the
it.
next hour.
Nasal probings and therapies.
Yes, and therapize. Oh my god.
I tell you, once you get the nasal
That's
probe,
great.
the therapies taste amazing.
They do. Yeah, there are pies for everyone. There are pies, spend into your motto be there are pies for everyone. There are pies for everyone. And you have to have an accent.
I'm laughing so hard I'm starting to get a headache. It's funny.
There are pie. There's a lot of things we could do in this. You're the apple of my pie.
Hey,
That was
yeah,
funny.
yeah, an apple therapy. You're the apple of my pie. That's someone must have
Therapy.
used that. That's good.
There's more that we can do with this. I feel like if we had a couple minutes, we could come up with some more.
What do I remember? I vaguely remember you and we were talking pre-show. Your dad is either a business owner or like he's got a business mind, if I remember right, is what you said to me years ago.
Yeah.
That's what is, if you don't mind me asking, what does he do?
So he is a happily retired man at this point,
Yeah.
hanging out. They live in Hull. Basically reads books, plays solitaire, and does homie type of things.
But did he do like
Oh my God,
business
Siri.
consulting or something, or like what? Like because
No, he ran a business. He
Yeah.
ran a window treatment business for 40 years called Barrows, the window shop in Newton Center. And I guess it's been, God, has it been 5 years? It's been a couple years since he sold it, but it was 2015 was like the craziest year of my life. It's when I moved to Salem. A lot of other shit went down, which I won't divulge, but someone just said Hull. Yes, Hull is beautiful. But my dad had a heart attack and so has like fiercely mellowed. Talk
Right,
about
right.
oxymorons, but fiercely mellowed. And for him, I have so much gratitude because he taught me so much about, just being organized with your finances and just, I don't know, like I guess I'm pretty frugal, but he's always helped me to think about like why am I doing this? What is the point? And if it's not worth the time or energy, do something else. But I remember when we first discussed me going down the road of a professional musician, and he's like, if we spend all this money on the album, he's like, what's the guarantee? And everybody was like, basically nothing.
Yeah.
So it was tough for him to understand at first, but he's like the biggest music fan I know and the reason I know about all good music. So I think, he always wanted to be a rock star. So when I went down the road of being a musician, he's like, why don't you go to a liberal arts school? And I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And so it took him a while to really get on board, but I'll never forget the album you played on, my very first one.
Right.
I brought home some rough mixes. The album's called The Only Way Out Is Through. I brought home some rough mixes, and my mom and I walk into the room, and he's sitting on the couch listening to my song Sandpiper, just like weeping.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is so good. He's like, I get it now.
Yeah.
And that was such a beautiful moment.
I've had many adults in my life have that same reaction,
Yeah.
where they're just like, they go, what do you mean? And then they see you do something, they go, oh. Because there's a lot of people out there that, like, love music, don't do it, and when it hits them, they think to themselves, I would give up a lot to actually be able to do that.
Right. Because it doesn't make any sense until you do it. You know what I mean? Like, do you remember being a kid and you're like...
Or see
the
it
sounds-
done and it moves you, you know?
Right. But, like, the sounds coming out of the radio, there's, like, no connection between that and reality. Like, what is that? What are these things? They're, like, shooting at you, like, colorful, like, light streams and sparkles. And, oh, my God, what does it all mean? And then you're like, oh, my God, this is how... somebody plays the bass. This is how somebody tracks the drums, and
right.
You know, you write a vocal part and then you recorded it and you hear it back and it's like, what? Like that just happened?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The magic.
It's pretty magical.
For me, it's the magic of the live show.
Yeah, you love that.
I've been lousy at the discipline of recording. Like I don't record a lot. I love to play live.
What do you love most about it?
I don't know. I guess the energy and communication with people, the instant communication. You know,
yeah.
That's just the feedback. You know, when somebody. You know, I've been doing this every Thursday night thing for God knows how many years now, and more than 10, 11 years, and it stopped. You know, but so you get your regulars and you get your people that are there every week, and you're hanging and you're talking, and it's really nice to see folks, and but it's and then it'll be slow one week.
Wait, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, what do you do?
Well, that's the funny thing. Now I just play because I've learned. Yeah. You know, it used to get me down, and now I don't care. I don't stress it. I just play. I adjust to the audience that's there, so I'm not going to play as loud as possible. Play the room. But what will happen on a slow night is somebody who's been sort of like a in the shadows fan that you just didn't notice just because things were too chaotic.
Yeah.
They'll actually ask you a question about a specific lyric or a specific song or a specific something so specific. It's like, oh my God, you're listening to that?
Right.
You know, and it's such a that's what a special moment, you know. That's what I live for in the live thing. That's one of the things I live for in the live performance, you know.
Like that connection.
The camaraderie of a full room, you know.
Yeah, and then I think you're right though when it's not a full room and you're like, you think just because it's not full, you start getting in your head. You're like, oh, you know, I didn't draw well. The venue's pissed at me, whatever, blah blah blah. But then there's like, you know, 5 mighty people that are like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, tell me this story. Holy shit, you know, it's a deep connection you can forge with people sometimes when it's not just, you know, the best crowd. I don't know. I hear you though, and those moments can be really really special, as long as you don't get inside your head.
Yeah, it's easy to get inside your head.
It sure is.
Yeah, right.
But Siri keeps popping up when I talk to you. Go away, Siri.
Hey Siri, did she pop up?
Yeah, she's like...
Oh, mine popped up.
She thinks her name is Tom. Did she pop up? She's like, well, now you're talking to me. Why are they all named Siri?
I don't know.
Oh, my God, she's back. She goes... Stop.
Hello, Sarah. I want to have a conversation with you.
So creepy. There's a robot.
Yeah, there's so there's a thing on your phone that tracks you now.
No.
To see if you're exposed to other people who have COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I've been getting texts like all the time. It's like, just so you know, like Salem's a hotspot. Just so you know, there's more people that that are in your area that have COVID. Here we are back at the COVID again.
Yeah. I don't know if it's has to do with that app, but there is. If you go to your health section and you scroll down, and it's like, you know, and there's one part of you that's like, well, that's helpful in tracing, and then there's another part of you like, what the fuck? I can't, like, what else? You know, the thing with all of these apps and tracking is like, what else are they going to use it for? Who else is going to use your information? That's the whole issue behind all this, you know.
Right.
You know, and you get Facebook and, hey, what's the high school you went to? Let's get your Star Wars name. What's your high school you went to? What's your mother's maiden name? And what are the last 4 of your social security number?
The phishing, the cyber phishing. Well, all the cookies too have been freaking me out lately. Like every website I go to, it says, "Are you okay with these cookies?" I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And then meanwhile, I'm doing these trainings because I work in healthcare, and it's all HIPAA stuff, and it's like telling you who's at risk, like who's gonna come phishing. And it's like, try not to use apps that you download from the internet. I'm like, I download everything from the internet. I basically can't talk about anything to anyone.
Try not to use the internet while you're using the internet right now.
Ever.
See what you're doing right now? Don't do that.
So one thing about my dad is he's delightfully oblivious to certain aspects of technology. So he thinks the email is on the computer. He's like, isn't the email taking up a lot of space on the computer? I'm like, Dad, the email's on the internet. But like, one of my favorite things, which I hated initially because it would always erupt into these, explosive fights between my mom and dad and sometimes me, was like whenever they'd call with a tech question. But now I'm like the family go-to person for tech. But nice. My dad, he Googles everything and he learns how to do it. But it's really challenging, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the whole like trying to give someone directions when they don't know how to say, like, they don't know what icon is or like search bar. Right.
Yeah. My folks have never had any tech savvy at all. So it's like it's
so
really
nice.
It's actually it's amazing.
It's pretty special.
So my wife and I just bought a condo. It's our first place, right? And so now for the first time in my life, I'm a homeowner. It only took 50 years. It only took 25 years, 30 years of adulthood. But yeah, it's like, and it's so funny, the idea that they give you a 30-year loan. It's like, I'm not going to be fucking alive in 30 years, buddy. I almost died last year, right?
If you're 50, you must be 80.
Right. So, but I call my folks, and our kitchen was flat. It was just garbage, and we scrapped it and built it up from the top. We're building it up from the bottom. And
in your new place?
In the new place.
That's
exciting. We got a renovation loan in the kitchen. We've had no sink and had no stove. Oh, yeah. And it's come together, and everything's postponed because of COVID. It fucking blows. But so we were going to get cabinets from IKEA originally, because I guess they snap into place and you build them. And my contractor was like, Alex, he's like, you can save a little money if you build them yourself. And it's like, they're IKEA, so they're not too hard. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And my parents like, oh no, you need I don't know, you need tools and stuff to do that. I'm like, and you got to keep in mind, my father one time in my childhood, he painted a room and ran out of paint and didn't finish like the bottom corner, and he just put the couch there. Done. The couch went from this side of the room to this side of the room. Done. All right, that's my father. So you talk about tech. The man he's a beautiful man, and my father is awesome. But he couldn't even finish painting the fucking wall. Like that was too much check. Just put a couch there, right? So they go, you need one of those screwy thingies, and like I didn't even put two and two together. And I'm like, what do you mean? You need the screwy thingies for those kind of cabinets. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The screwy thingy. It's the battery operated screwy thingy. Some of them plug into the wall. And my father's like, yeah, I got the battery one, but the battery never had any charge in it. And I'm like, batteries, a screw thingy. And I'm driving, and I go like, I'm like,
power drill?
You mean a drill? Yeah. And they're like, and they didn't say yes, a drill. They went, no, a screwy thingy, like with you hold it in your hand, and you put the little screwy thingy in, and I'm like, a drill. And they still wouldn't even.
They were like, we don't know what that is.
I start once I
That's when you run at school when there's a fire.
Yeah. I was laughing so hard. I had to pull the car over. I was laughing so hard.
That's so great.
The battery operated screwy thingy.
That's so great because people like choose their names for things, and like that's their language. They've devoted their whole life to calling it the screwy thingy.
The battery
they know what it is.
Screwy. And the idea that my father was like, the batteries run out. I'm like, because the drill battery runs out, you got to leave it there for a couple hours, right?
You're like leave it where?
Yeah.
Just leave it there.
Yeah, he probably it probably was in the packaging when he bought the drill and he threw it out or something. Like I
Where are your parents from?
They are from and still do live in the house that I grew up in Long Island.
Oh my God. That's so special that you still have that house.
And it's a strange segue from this. My parents are wonderful folks. This has nothing to do with my parents, but last night I'm doing the fucking internet thing that I've been trying to avoid doing lately, and a picture popped up of a friend of mine, this kid, Rodney Harris, drummer on Long Island that I've known for years, and he's got a picture of Medford. The government is like the town of Brookhaven, and I grew up in the hamlet of Medford within the town of Brookhaven. You know, it's not quite the same as Massachusetts. I don't think Mass has hamlets.
No, we have Medford.
Yeah, we do have a Medford. Yeah, which I live very close to now, which is really odd. But there was a picture of a town of Brookhaven fire truck with a Confederate flag draped across the side of it.
You're like,
I'm
hello.
what the fuck? Like, and so I had to be sure. I was like, is this now? Is this right on? And I looked it up, and like, yeah, the fire department chief actually did like an apology, and like they said this doesn't represent us and everything. It's like fucking New York.
Right.
Like
that's pretty out of character for New York.
Yeah. And
Seems.
to further distract, I put up Jennifer Truesdale's comment.
The dinger.
Here. The dinger.
That's what you texted me earlier when I figured out what the correct number was for you. I was like, I had like two numbers
ding,
for
ding.
you. Ding, ding,
The
ding.
dinger.
Also, somebody chimed in Tony DiDomenico, which he's the luthier that makes my instruments.
Oh, wow, really?
So if you see that, actually it's probably backwards, but it's an S. Oh no, is that the right way for you?
Yeah, no,
SB?
that's right. Yeah. SB.
But yeah, he makes my guitars and ukuleles, and he's I think he's in New Jersey. I always get confused that he's in Pennsylvania, but he's right on the border, so he's in Jersey. Oh, he lives on a road called Shades of Death Road. And that's actually where he lives. Whenever he told me, he's like, come on over to my shop. It's on Shades of Death Road. I was like, this guy's going to kill me and make a guitar out of my bones. But it all worked out.
I make great inlays.
Do you know that song? I think it's Grateful Dead, right? Oh, the wind and the rain. It's like, made a fiddle hair from a long dead a bone. Oh, the wind and the rain. It's an old folk song.
I don't know that song. It sounds gorgeous.
And that makes me want to sing you a song. And it's about murder. It's about murder, so I feel like that's a good segue.
Is this the new one?
This is the new one.
Cool.
It's called Beautiful Murderer.
Before you do, I want to ask that guitar. So that's a custom-made guitar? It looks beautiful. That inlay looks beautiful.
The inlay, so it's really thin, as you can see. And it has a rounded back, which is like for girls that like, things that don't cut into their rounded body parts. There's nothing sharp about this guitar. All the edges are rounded.
Nice.
And it has what's called a fall away instead of the cutaway up here, so it's really easy to play up high.
Right.
But yeah, this guitar, its name is Joni, and it's so special.
When we recorded, you had a black guitar, similar size, kind of small. It's a smaller size with the same with the cutaway. Yeah. With
the cutaway, yep. That was the Martin. That's my music therapy guitar. Sort of my beater at this point because it's composite wood and cracked open a bunch of times.
Yeah.
You gotta have one of those.
Guitar has done its job, huh? It's earned its money.
It sure has. Yep.
All right.
Oh my God, Siri! I said it sure has, and Siri popped up.
Siri is sensitive. Siri just wants to in the conversation.
Sensitive Siri.
Laura Bradford wants to hear a song. How about it?
All right, let's give her one. This is called Beautiful Murderer, and I wrote, recorded, and released this song.
That's not what I meant to do.
Let's look at Tom during this. Go back, that was great. I'll just sing and you'll be.
Hey, she sounds great.
You're like eating chips. Oh my God. All right.
It's me and my I'm gonna make me go away completely.
I hope I get to listen to you eating chips while I play this song.
Crunch, 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 crunch.
All right, here we go. This is a song about somebody that may or may not have murdered someone. Don't ugly cry to me. I'm already all tapped out from all your misery. You You probably were the reason he set himself free. So hey pretty, don't ugly cry to me. Don't ugly cry to me. I'm tired of all your tries to convince me. I know you want to rise, but you're so bogged down with those lies. So come on pretty, don't ugly cry to me. You're a beautiful murderer. I know you did it. I know you did it. Yeah, you're a beautiful murderer. I know you did it. I know you did it. Don't flaunt those thighs to me. I know you think the men all want to take you to bed, and they might, but you're delusional inside of your head. So come on pretty, don't ugly cry to me. You're a beautiful murderer. I know you did it. I know you did it. Yeah, you're a beautiful murderer. I know you did it. I know you did it. But all around the world, everyone's your fool. You make the world a darker place just by playing cool. Every day she's killing, killing. Every day she's killing, killing. Every day she's killing. You're a beautiful murderer. I know you did it. I know you did it.
That was awesome. Thank you for doing the show and fulfilling my need to hear some live music that I'm directly in touch with and talk with artists that I miss talking with.
It's
on
my
a daily
pleasure.
basis, you know?
It's so weird to like perform though. You know, it's like it never feels the same as it did before right now, because like I think we've all been doing it so few and far between, except for certain people that are like finding ways to just tour all the time. You know, yeah, I feel like I keep trying to like get into the groove of it, but I still feel awkward every time. That's where I'm at with my performing, just in case you guys wanted to know.
There's no real winning in this virtual show. There's always something. There's always like, I feel this is me personally. Every time I feel like I have a small victory, it gets taken away by something during COVID. And I don't mean to be like, wah, I'm real. You know, I'm not trying to be defeatist. You keep on keeping on. That's what you have to do, right?
Defeatist some therapist.
But
let me hungry. Okay. Sorry.
Like, so I hear, the computer, and this is the thing, and like just what you're doing right now, and the way you just played that song, and you're sitting right at the camera, and you're like this, and
yeah.
I'll go to this view so you can see the thing, and you're sitting there and you're holding the guitar, and that's, people see you and communicate. You touch them more virtually, right? But but it's hard to do because you're sitting there and like you're reading comments and you're losing your fucking place. And I'm an idiot. I'm sitting there putting up like, hey, she's of course, yeah, I'm putting up comments in the middle of your song, and like you're like, I can see you looking, and I see the subtle smile when you get a chance to actually read it, and like it's so fucking distracting. So then I have a window over here, and I have a view. I have a nice view. I can see down the street, and I can even see the city a little bit. This one particular window. So I set myself up to play when I do shows here like this. So I'm looking out the window, and I can see, and it feels slightly more like a show. Like I'm playing to the masses. Like I know people in those freaking windows out there can't actually hear me, but it just feels a little better. And then like I'm told by trusted friends, I'm like, you got to be close to the camera. Because you're not touching people, and
like,
they're
it's
right.
not about you.
And I'm like, son of a fucking, I need a therapy right now. And I'm eating ice cream. I'm like, it's fucking ain't COVID. Like
having a good cry.
Yeah, it's such a trying time, And but I say I'm lucky enough. Like we know each other. I had like a near death last year, and I always try to finish every thought with like, hey, I'm still fucking alive right now.
Right.
Get over it, Tom.
Gratitude is priceless.
I have a place over my head. Money hasn't run out yet. I'm trying to make a few bucks here and there and still promote music and get out on the bike and randomly roll through Salem and shoot you a text and see what you're doing. Last week was great.
That was awesome. It was so nice to see you. You're like the first person, like outside of 5 people that I've maybe seen this whole time. Actually in the flesh. Besides like my landlord and random strangers. But I have like so much to say about what you just said. I'm trying to think of what I want to say first. Yeah. But briefly, I'll just say how weird it is to have like your thing that you set up in front of a screen. So like you have your light, you have your audio set up, you don't have a monitor. Like you and I both have these things in our ears. And I think that it's weird to look at yourself, but also to like finish a song.
You can't see yours. I'm Duschenstein.
Well, yours are like kind of sticking out there. What's going on?
I don't know.
You're like a snork. Like an ear snork. Do you remember the snorks?
I do remember the snorks.
Let's talk about them for a while.
Yeah, I just got these. They
Aren't
came
they
like
amazing though?
They're amazing. They're awesome.
Have you like bumped some EDM yet and just danced around? Because that's like my favorite.
I'm mixing my own record right now, which is fantastic to do with these and walk around the house.
Those?
And, yeah. Well, no, not on these, but you go and listen to different sources and shit. I don't mix. When you go to see how if the segues in between songs are good and that kind of thing. But,
so you're recording a record.
I recorded a record. Like I said, I'm horrible at putting music out. I took Baker Thomas Band into the studio as it was 2 years ago, live into Q, and recorded a whole album. Awesome. 2 albums worth of music, 1 album.
Wow.
But this is like 2 years ago, and I still haven't put it out.
Well,
I just sat on it.
It's funny because Aaron, my husband, and I talk a lot about like, oh my God, why did Siri I wasn't talking to you, you bitch. Stupid fucking skank. Anyway, I love like talking bitch to Siri. That's like all I ever do with her. She's back! Get the fuck out of here, you fucking...
We have to rename her.
I can't call her anything nice though, and I don't want to say stuff that's going to be like triggering for anyone. So anyway.
That's the music therapist in you coming out.
Exactly. So it's really like, I don't, when I hear you talk about how much you love the live performance and like putting out new music and everything, I'm in a weird place, and I know he is too. He's in the middle of recording a new EP, and the songs are brilliant. And like we did go to 37 Foot Productions and do a little bit of tracking recently with everybody being masked and all that jazz. But
wow,
it's so like, I don't think people understand how much work it is to effectively put out an album when you don't have record label backing, which really doesn't mean that much now anyway. Like, it is so much work. And I know Danielle knows, like, between, like, people just think when all of a sudden someone posts, oh my God, my song was featured on American Songwriter. People think, like, somehow American Songwriter found you and was like, oh, you have a new song? Let me post it on my blog. It's like, no, I paid $2,000 a goddamn month for, like, 6 months.
Right.
So it's like that, and then you do the radio campaign, and, I feel like I released the single, and I know people heard it, but, like, I didn't get a lot of feedback, so I don't know whether people, like, just hated it, or if they're like, wow, this is so different from anything you've ever done, we don't even want to listen to it. And I know it wasn't, like, sonically as good as anything I've ever put out at Shawnee's, but...
I thought it sounded great.
I mean, it sounds lo-fi, it sounds like a home recording, but thank you. So sometimes it feels like, what's the point of putting out new music when, first of all, people's attention span is so much shorter. So it's like if you release a single, there's a lot of thought behind that is the more effective way to release music. But we all have so many songs and we want to release an album, but then you just put it out and you drop so much cash into it. And then it's like, I mean, I thankfully have sold a lot of albums through touring and at shows. But, like, I got, second and third rounds of CDs pressed when I sold out of them. And nobody's buying CDs anymore. And I have all these CDs.
Yeah, that doesn't happen as much as it used to on any level, I'd imagine.
What is the point? You just release digitally and then everybody just streams it for free?
Yeah, that's pretty much a conversation in its own. It's hard to say. I don't really know. Because you got to make some money. And you got to make the money back on this thing.
But we got screwed by this pandemic in the musician world.
We're in trouble. I do trying to keep it positive because we've been a little bit. No. We both have been like, oh, this and that, but the COVID and everything. I've been very, negative but honest. I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
From a point of view, we are fucked. But I do feel like when it all turns back, when it starts to reverse, it will be the Roaring 20s. I do think that's a thing.
People are just going to be so hungry for art and music.
Yeah.
But people are hungry for it now. They want it now. They just want it for free.
Yeah, and they're used to certain things for free. Like, I've been trying to monetize, I'll be honest, I'm trying to monetize this podcast. I want to be able to pay a guest, and I'm paying for this service that costs me $50 a month, and then this other service, and then the internet, and blah, blah, blah. So that God knows what the overhead on trying to keep a business going is right now. And then,
tips. Go.
Hey. But,
Yay!
Just folks are not used to, like, you can't, there's so much of this you can't charge a ticket, and folks are, and who knows, like, we know it's worth something. We know the music is worth something. But folks are used to not paying for music anymore. And I am guilty as charged. I have iTunes. I played your song at the head of the show on iTunes.
I use Spotify every day.
Exactly. So it is what it is. So the question is, how do we monetize it?
I don't know. Well, it used to be through shows. It was such a big part of it.
Right.
But now...
But one of the things I love about you, and I like... you are really good at promotion and being fun and in the spotlight and putting the word out and putting a record out and promoting a show. Like, I feel like if anybody can do this, it's you. You're great at it. You're a natural. Like, you know how to promote yourself and have fun and be clever, and like, you're good at it. You're like, if you could do a clinic on it,
Well, people used to call me, and I thought I was so insulted when someone told me this. They were like, she's a girl in a hurry, or a girl in a rush. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I was like, screw you. But I think I always, in my early years, was pushing myself beyond my means 24 hours, Tom, a day.
Yeah.
And you can't shut off.
Yeah, but the difference between you and me is you actually have a focus. I'm just a fucking mess 24 hours a day.
Come on. You've been doing some really great things on a consistent basis. I think that's more than a lot of people can say right now.
Yeah, but
you've built so much, and like I told you the other day, I mean, you had such a strong hand in me finding my way in the Cambridge music scene. And I just am forever grateful to you for that, for being like, hey, I believe in you. Let me give you some gigs and try you out here and try you out there. And I'm going to talk you up to the people I know. And like, you know, I couldn't play certain venues before I was a friend of Tom Bianchi, and now I'm like actually a real friend of yours and just adore you, and you're such a strong asset to so many artists. I hope you know that.
Well, that's nice of you to say.
That's
Can't
my
wait till
therapy.
Hey.
Take a slice of that pie.
I just had a good dose of humble therapy.
Ego.
I just got therapeuted. You've been therapeuted.
Boston.
That's what
Therapeuted.
you've been therapeuted.
Therapeuted. Oh my god. Normally I'm really good with puns, but I feel like I've had like a glass and a half of wine, and all I can say is like, oh my god.
Therapy.
See, you're all clear-headed. I'm like,
I'll tell you, I am painfully sober.
I'm so impressed.
I am so sober. I haven't had a cigarette or smoke. It was just a conscious decision. The shit I went through was so fucking traumatic. It's like people are like, you miss drinking? I'm like, nah. I filled up my quota more than your average drinking bear, and now it's time to. If I'm gonna have a pint again, I gotta earn it. I got another
a therapint.
And if I'm gonna.
Sorry, low hanging fruit at this point.
Jog the bases.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I got to earn it. I got
There's
another
more
20,
where that
30
came from.
pounds I want to lose, and you know, it's keeping the business going and stuff, you know.
The booze is like the quickest way to drop the calories. When we were getting wedding fit last year,
Yeah.
we were like, we're not going to drink for a whole month, and we're cutting out cheese too. And
Yeah.
I like lost too much weight. I was like, what happened? And then, you know, since then it's just been debauchery. But
How long you been married for now?
our 1 year anniversary is September 28th. So our first, he proposed to me on stage at Club Passim on September 15th. But my Salem moving to Salem anniversary was yesterday. So 5 years ago today, I have been here, and he showed up at my house or my apartment the day of with pastries. And oh my god, Siri just came back.
This guy played.
That was like a little girl laugh. And
Maybe that's
Siri
what it
just
is. Maybe
popped up.
Siri's just
Oh
jealous.
my god, stop, Siri. Okay. Sorry. I see your true colors shining through.
So you're having like your first chunk of time being married, like fucking
Yeah.
COVID style. My
Yeah.
goodness, how you guys been? That's an interesting. I want to say test trial, but that's not what I mean. But it's interesting. You know.
It's been interesting. I mean, we've been together for, oh my god, Siri keeps popping. I don't know how to turn her off at this point. I'm just turning her on over and over again. We've been together for 5 years at this point.
Right.
So, you know, we did a lot of the hard stuff at the beginning. But I feel like this time has brought us a lot closer. It's given us like ample time to examine our own baggage and like figure out what we want to work together with in our partnership. And, you know, he's been going into his job through the whole thing.
You were telling me about his job. He's works with he's a music counselor for kids or something like that.
Yeah, he does amazing work with. He basically is a music therapist. He just didn't have the, you know, training and background. He just does therapeutic music for
Right.
Kids that are abused and abandoned and court ordered, that like teenagers basically. So he works with like the most challenging
Oh my goodness.
population ever.
Yeah. That's.
So yeah, he's, you know, I think the most difficult thing for us during this time is he was working overnights for a while, and when I was in like crisis mode, like just anxiety through the roof, he would be gone overnight. And normally I'm like, yay, alone time, but like I have a lot of alone time because I'm working from home.
Right.
And it just got to be that I was like not sleeping, and his schedule was all out of whack, and we were just all screwed up. So since then, it's back to baseline a little bit more. But
Is the schedule still the same? You've just gotten used to it, or is it the schedule actually changed? Like, is he still doing overnights?
he is no longer doing overnights, which is huge. They hired, I don't know how they found the people, but they hired some people to do overnights because he works at a residential home for like kids that they used to call it an orphanage, but now it's a home for boys. Here in Salem. And so no, he's not doing the overnights, thank God. He has a couple late nights, but that's going to coincide with my classes starting next week. I'm going to be a student again, which is really exciting.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, we've been able to just kind of set goals for our life together and moving forward with a lot of different things. And as you know, I have a 14-and-a-half-year-old dog who is like 24 hours care, and I was unable to spend a lot of time with him when I was working full time. And this time, there he is. Oh my God, he's just.
I'm ready.
I mean, he's just out of his mind, and he needs help with everything. But like, I'm so glad that I have this time with him.
He's 14 and a half years old.
And he's
wow.
101 pounds. I mean, he's a big black lab. So normally they only live like 9 to 12 years, but he's still going.
The funny thing is, this is from from the 80s when he was doing a lot of blow. His eyes are all red. See, the eyes are just fucking beet red.
Yeah.
And, I guess that was your blow period too, because you got the sunglasses on. You're like, yeah, I'm hiding my eyes. That's right. I'm sorry, Blacko, check me out.
Who's to say that period's over? I'm always wearing sunglasses. You know, let me tell you the weirdest thing about my COVID experience.
Sure.
So, the music therapy groups that I've been doing outside, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm blind, so I wear, if you've ever seen me without glasses, I'm wearing contacts because I used to care about how I looked. Now I've just completely given up. So I'll wear prescription sunglasses, and I have to wear a mask. And then I have this like Madonna headset with a little speaker that amplifies my voice because I have a mask on. So then I have the guitar strapped over me. And it's like, it's been summer. Wow. So it's like 90 degrees out, and then I'm like trying to cue kids to do things with their bodies and their voices, and like, oh my God, it's insane. So that's been the hardest thing is like...
So you have a mic underneath the mask?
Well, I have it right over. If it touches right on my mouth, but over the mask.
Wow.
So that's been...
so weird.
The weirdest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a surreal thing.
Right, because normally, I mean, like, that's why I've been doing virtual music therapy, too, so, like, you can see my face, right? And I work with kiddos that, like, when they say yes or no, sometimes it's like, that's yes.
Yes.
But if they have a mask on and they're smiling or singing and it's really quiet, or, like, they can't see my face, it's like, it's really...
It's a lot. Yeah, you lose a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stream of consciousness. We should write you a jingle.
I'm in.
Let's talk about everything. Stream of consciousness. That was your turn. Go.
Let's talk about absolutely anything. Stream of consciousness.
You can pop in. You can pop out. You can come by. Give us a shout. It's the stream of consciousness.
Leave your chat below the other chat.
Ding. That's your jingle. Just like that.
I ruined it. You were doing great. I ruined it.
No, I was going like Jewish grandma. I was like, can you have some gefilte fish?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm good at improv until someone starts doing it with me. I'm like, oh my God. I freeze.
I'm listening to you. Hey, it seemed like you were actually going to the same beat as I was. Is there not a lot of latency on this live studio?
That's Jennifer Truesdale was on a week or two ago, and she said she was doing a beta for actually being able to jam. I wasn't pounding on anything. I almost went to hit my desk, and I'm like, don't do that because it'll just fuck everything up. I don't know. Ready? Let's clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. Wait. We have to actually... 1, 2, 3, clap. I'm not doing it right. So,
Here, ready? Clap to the same beat as I am. It's the same beat. That was the same beat.
That's interesting.
Oh my God, maybe I need to use this. Can you use this like Zoomy stuff?
All right,
anybody that's tuned in, we're going to learn about the live.
What's your favorite chord? What's your favorite chord?
That? I have that same guitar, and I was just like, I don't think anybody else in the world has this. Aww.
Yeah, I even wrote a song because everybody makes fun of this guitar.
What are your
Ain't
chords?
Nobody got love for Sticky. Sticky, my little guitar. right, I'm gonna just do like bass, and let's see if you play. Ready?
Okay.
Nah, it's not matching.
See, it's matching up on my end, but that's
is?
what's the worst part is like if I play to you,
Yeah.
You're not
I'm
gonna
just
be here.
I'm just gonna strum quarter notes here. If anybody's tuning in right now, they're like, "What the fuck are they doing?"
they just left. They tuned in, they're like, nope.
Yeah, nah. This is
Did
fucking
it
terrible.
Did it match up for you? Does it
I
match up?
can't even. I have no idea. I have no idea.
All right, now you try to play to me.
Okay.
This is the first time that we've made music online.
First time.
The drop of a dime. Oops. Nobody said it was gonna be good at all. But we had a good time.
Seems working.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's working. Wow. Whew.
Wow.
That was the first time I've like played music with anybody that I haven't just been like, well, sounds like shit, but
Wow.
because when I started out doing the Zoom sessions, I would mute everybody like while I was playing a song, you know. But then like if you're in a room full of music makers, the chaos is like part of the what's so therapeutic. But you know, with so much latency, it's like blah blah blah. Like it's just someone says do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Let's do the first time song again.
Okay.
All right.
Song's called
What
First
do you
Time.
do for a cover? Pick a cover. Like basic cover that I'll probably know.
Oh boy. Basic
I know
cover.
that. All my love, all my kissing. You don't know what you've been missing, oh boy. Just kidding.
What do? I do lots and lots of them. Won't back down.
Okay.
Is that not basic enough?
No, that's good.
Oh my god, so opposed. The claps didn't work at all, but that's kind of did.
Yeah. You know the words?
Yeah. You want to sing it?
No, I don't know.
1, 2, 3. Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. Gonna stand my ground. Gonna turn around. In a world that keeps on pushing me around. Gonna stand my ground. And I won't back down. No, I won't back. Hey, baby. There ain't no easy way out. I won't back. Hey. No, I won't back down. Gonna stand my ground. Woo!
That kind of works.
Yeah, that did kind of work.
That's kind of crazy.
I think that, like,
We
I think when
solved
we
it.
started, yeah,
solved it. We did it.
We broke it. We broke
we-
the machine.
We unbroke it.
We unbroke the machine.
We broke the code.
Therapized that shit.
We therapized that shit.
Therapize.
Yeah, so Jen Trusso was telling me she was working on something. Maybe I shouldn't have said it. Maybe it was beta.
Ooh,
But
there are pies. What else can I say? Aw.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you both
Thank
for
you.
being completely out of your minds. You're welcome, Kevin. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong.
Have you written any COVID-sensitive specific songs or any time period specific songs?
I did, and some of them were secret, and I have one that I tend to veer on the edge of. I know we've been talking about all of the shapes and colors of the pandemic, but I tend to be a eternal optimist, and
Yeah.
it's taken, a lot of eating shit to get there, but I did write one song that is going to be my next recording project, and yeah, I did.
You mentioned that you had a song or two on deck that you wanted to play. Was this one of them, or?
If you'd like to hear it, I'd love to play it.
I would love to hear anything.
Okay.
The first song you sound great, by the way. You sound great.
Well, thank you.
You look great. Your vibe feels great. It's really great talking with you. Again, we talked last week randomly.
I know, that was so good.
Yeah, you're a rock star.
As are you, my friend. It's always good vibes and just good chats and all
when
that
I
jazz.
was in the studio with you, was that like your first record, basically?
So that was my second record. It's funny because I found that popped up as a Facebook memory the other day. So we must have been there.
Yeah.
Not too long. Not around this time. 9 years ago, and Beasley was there with us. But yeah, that was my second record, and you guys played on that song "Cowboy," which was so fun. But you actually played at my first release party. Actually, no, you're right. That's right, because you did play on a couple songs on the very first record.
Yeah.
And then I threw you in on the second one too.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I remember the CD release party at the Hard Rock. I think it was.
That was when the Hard Rock was basically like, come on in, do a show, and we'll give you the entire door. And we were like, what the hell? So we did like a bunch of shows there. Right, and then somebody else took over and was like, actually, we're going to take like $500 off the door. Yeah, so, trying to make some money now, bitches. You're like, bye-bye.
I tell you what, it will be again, but I really miss being able to hook people up with a good room at like a really reasonable deal, because the burn was very good to me, so I was able to turn around and pay out artists a huge chunk of whatever the door was,
Yeah, the Burn is such a special room. I cannot wait for that room to have music in its walls again. I mean, that place is just built on
they are open
of all kinds.
They are open and serving food. They're not doing music. They're doing it right. They're doing it smart. They're not rushing it. They're not forcing it.
But I also when I think about people and they're eating and yapping away and drinking and yucking it up, like, why can't people sing? I know that droplets are expelled at a more quick pace, and I do think that we need to protect our artists just as much as the most valuable people on this planet. But there are rooms that have been putting up like a plexiglass shield in front of the stage. I don't know if that would be reasonable for you guys to even consider, but
I think that the bottom line is, because I know we've talked about doing some stuff, I've been talking with Tommy and Louise a little bit about what to do, and like Tommy's talking about, he's doing like a trivia night. That's not such a big deal. Yeah. And as far as they were going to do, I think they might even be doing like some classical music, because there's no singing out into the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, but I think a place could do it right. I think the Burn could do it right. My guess is the problem is not everybody would do it right.
You think?
Like, yeah, I think a lot of places would. It's like an excuse to just open and just do it and see what they can get away with, and they might fuck it up, And we've come so far at this point, It's
amazing. I mean, it feels like in a lot of places we're like sort of back to business as usual, even though everyone has a mask on. That's like really like the main difference. That I've also noticed that people are like a little bit nicer to each other. It's either like they're a little bit more considerate when you're walking by them on the sidewalk, or they don't fucking move an inch and they're like, I'm gonna just plow down the middle of the side. Like, I want to punch those people in the face. just
Yeah,
square.
especially early on. Early on, there was a lot of people jogging right up the sidewalk just to be fucking, just to make a point.
Right, but it's like,
And
why?
I feel like that's kind of gone away, but...
But even without a pandemic, it's like, just move over. I don't understand how people can do that. And I've always, I've experimented with being that guy where you just kind of just walk in the straight line and don't move over, but I'm always the person to move over. And I'm like, why can't people just move over? Like, there's someone else on the sidewalk, like, just move over. Like,
yeah, that...
Why not?
What I'm curious to see is when things do get back to normal is how this experience is going to influence socially and even not economically specifically, but like what processes that we've adjusted to will actually stick. Like you talk about doing therapy via Zoom, or like my wife gives guitar lessons via Zoom,
Right.
and she has mentioned to me that some of her students actually the younger kids, where in the small little lesson room, they used to squirm in their seats and not make eye contact and be distracted by anything. Somehow, like, today's generation of younger kids are like, oh, they dig it. They know how to do this. They've been on, whatever Snapchats and whatever the things are. They're engaged this way, in a way that they weren't during in-person lessons.
Right.
And I'm curious to see like even the handshake, the make room on the sidewalk. You know what I'm saying? The hug. I mean, I'm curious to see what will stick and what will just kind of go right back to normal quick.
I know. Me too. I do think there's a lot of merit to like Zoom therapy. I have a therapist and I see her on Zoom and I love it. Mm-hmm. The one thing, so she's an art therapist, and we used to do a lot of art in my therapy sessions with her. Mm-hmm. So that's like the only thing we really haven't been doing. We've just been talking. But I mean, somebody shook my hand today, and I was like she just went for it, and I was like, all right. I'm like, I'm going in, and like I put hand sanitizer on, and like didn't touch my face at all. But like, I know, it's like, oh my gosh, she's like, are people doing that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I just sort of did. I'm like, it's cool, like. Even for a while, I wasn't hugging my parents, but then my mom's like, fuck this. She's like, get in here and hug me. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, you're the one going to Kohl's every day, so.
Right, and I don't think we talked about it in this show, but like your dad he's 73 years old, and it's like, you just want to be careful,
He's like my biggest fear through all of this because he's had, a couple heart attacks, and my mom is COPD, so like they're the reason I'm being super cautious. Like,
what is that acronym?
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
Oh wow.
So, she's a smoker and always has been. So, Yeah. But if she got a respiratory ailment, I don't know that would be okay.
My father is going to turn 80 this year in October.
Wow.
And I probably will not go down to Long Island for that.
Really?
I have to sleep in the house, and it's crushing. It's funny. He's been like, "There's always 81. Don't worry about it," and I'm like,
You're like, yeah, but you don't know that.
When's
his birthday?
In October. My folks are in really good health. But it's still like my
tent
mother.
it?
Huh?
Why don't you drive down and pitch a tent?
Yeah, right. October. Yeah. I have the tent. My mother wouldn't have it. She'd be like, "Are you warm enough?" She'd be out there like every 5 seconds.
I feel like you can put things out on them.
My mother was a smoker for years too, so her lungs, even though she quit years ago, her lungs are not all that good. And I think they're really scared of that.
Yeah.
But they had, they go to this timeshare every year in Connecticut. Something they bought years later. It's like part of their like retirement, and they missed June and August this year. Yeah.
I know. My dad was talking to me today about their winter plans. I'm like, how about you just spend your time where you are, and then you can come and stay with us, and that's it. That sounds good, right? They're like, we might go down to Florida and fly. I'm like, what? Stop.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about them on that plane, but it's really funny because I think a lot of it, is like media hype to an extent where they're psyching us up to be extra careful. Like when I actually go out and, like I was telling you, I know you have a tooth thing going on, but when I actually went to the dentist, you know, the feeling of how good it feels to like actually talk to someone supersedes all of your fear of like, oh my God, there's someone close to me right now. So it can be really dangerous if people aren't being tested and they aren't claiming their symptoms that they have. But I mean, it's like, I miss like getting pissed off at people because they're like pushing me around inside of a TJ Maxx or something. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I hate people anyway, so like
I have so many pet peeves about that. You're online at CVS and somebody's like standing right behind you. I'm like, you mind fucking taking a step back there, buddy?
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's all weird, but
yeah.
Anyway, let me play you this.
Yeah.
Yeah, go. Tell me what you were gonna say.
No, I just a second ago I had to, about 30 seconds ago I thought to myself, we were queuing up a song.
We
live stream of consciousness out of it.
Well,
and one of your friends, Laura
here.
Bradford, who's been very supportive of this this whole podcast tonight,
she's awesome.
She loves the music, I can tell. So let's
give him one more song.
Well, see.
One of my favorite comments, briefly, is someone talking about like what they hate about live streams, and it's like, "Don't tune your guitar on a live stream. We don't want to hear that."
They don't. We're not supposed to do that on stage either, you know.
Yeah, but if it's out of tune, you got to tune it.
It's right, and you know, if you're a guitarist, you're using a capo here and there, you got to tune it every time.
Right.
Yeah, and that's. I've been playing guitar during a lot of my broadcasts. Even though you know me, I'm a singer-songwriter, bass player, and I play a lot of solo bass.
Yeah.
But I've been playing guitar, and you know, when you're on stage in a room and you're tuning, there's like, you hear the chatter, just the silverware of a plate or whatever it is, and it's like the tension. It's like a cool tension that builds, you know, and then you drop that one joke and everybody laughs. But when you're doing it online, it's just like fucking deafening dead silence. It's the weirdest thing, you know?
Because you're already so awkward, and then you're like, wow, now I'm even more awkward.
It goes back to my
Hope
thing.
you guys know good.
Yeah, before. It's like, there's no winning. There's no winning in this format of broadcasting. There's always a tech problem. There's always something that's going to mess you up. You know, but we can win right now. See me?
Let's do it.
Me? No, I'm gone.
All right. All right, this is called Horizon Line. I used to break and bend my heart so that I wouldn't fall apart. Make everybody smile so they wouldn't see my scars. I used to take away my time. I'd bow my head and bend the line, tell everyone I was fine. They wouldn't worry about me. But I'm so much stronger than the horizon line, and I'll hold you up if you break your heart, 'cause I've still got mine. Yeah, I've still got mine. I used to sleep with frozen tears and dance around with swollen fears and tell you I was fine so you wouldn't worry about me. I have a way of doing things so you can't tell I'm drowning, but isn't that the truth for everyone else too? And I'm so much stronger than the horizon line, and I'll hold you up if you break your heart, 'cause I've still got mine. Yeah, I've still got mine. alright. And I'm so much stronger than the rising light. And I'll hold you up. Yeah, I'm so much stronger than the rising light. And I'll hold you up if you break your heart, 'cause I've still got mine. Yeah, I've still got mine.
Woo! Clap, 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 clap.
So that's my quarantine tune.
Gorgeous.
Well,
One of the
thank
things
you.
I love about you can sing a song as delicate as that. It's gorgeous. You know, the folk song, if you will. You know, well, it's it's quiet. It's in your voice, and I mean, you're such a good singer. You know, and the arrangement and just you have that that folk musician quality of being able to get somebody into the song. You know, you just get it gets into your DNA, and all of a sudden, before you realize it, you're lost in this landscape of lyric and melody. But you also rock out. You can throw down and rock out. Like I really enjoy that versatility, that quality in an artist. You know, I've always enjoyed watching you play, and you're
Thanks.
funny and goofy in between songs on stage and crack us up, and you know, which is I say funny and goofy, but what it really is, it's just there's an honesty there. There's no, you know, you're not a bullshit type person. You're a rock star.
No.
You're awesome.
No, I don't do a lot of bullshitting, but thank you. I mean, I like to. It's funny, like the more that I've played with my band, I don't want to do solo stuff anymore because it's so much fun to just communicate with them and play off of each other. But I do like to pull it back and do a little bit of both. But yeah, it's horrifying to listen to early recordings of learning how to have stage banter. Because I'd be like, that person over there has such a nice dress on. I've always been really honest. I'm like, wow, where did you get that? Do you think that maybe you could let me know where you got that dress? Because I would love to wear that dress sometime too. Okay, this next song was called My Mother's Picnic. You know, it's just why can't I be less real? You know what I mean?
No,
some people have such a cool, I'm cool. I'm a fucking camp counselor nerd. What's up? Let's jam.
You have the good live stream of consciousness, though. Yeah, you do.
It's certainly something. There's certainly a lot of weird stuff. So Aaron and I are moving soon, and we just met our downstairs neighbors, and they're really weird. And we were like, this is great, because we're always the weirdest ones on the block. And in Salem, everybody's weird.
Yes.
But we also make up songs about everything and drum on everything. And I'm sure you, there's just always music and weird, eruptive vocalizations and expressions coming out of all of everyone all the time.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of that, definitely.
yeah.
We got my son was with us too, and that's fun.
That's so fun.
Yeah, he's 8.
And he's a little bit musical, right?
He's very musical.
Yeah.
He's very musical. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met him. I've always seen pictures and stuff, but.
He's now. Well, the pictures, he was probably yay tall, and now he's a good, half a foot taller than his father.
Wow, Sawyer, right?
Yeah, Sawyer. Yeah, good memory.
That's a good name.
He, when he was younger, he started playing acoustic guitar, and he was a young guy, and he was listening to those bands. I didn't even know any of them exist. I've been to 3 Warped Tours now, the last 3, maybe not the last 3, because I think he grew out of it a little bit in the last year or 2. But these bands that are
I didn't grow out of anything. Warped Tour died. Warped Tour died. They canceled Warped Tour. There hasn't been Warped Tour for 4 years or something. I didn't grow out of shit. Rock on forever.
Wow, that was amazing timing. Wow. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So that's Sawyer.
That was Sawyer.
Oh my god.
Bye.
Hi Sawyer, nice to meet you.
Oh my god, the podcast good.
That was
He,
great.
when he first started going to Warped Tour years ago, he's 18, so his first Warped Tour was probably
Wow.
maybe 13, 14 years old, maybe even 12. I'm not sure, but the bands were like this sort of like a rock band with the vocal and the
Which is
beautiful,
amazing.
gorgeous, angelic male soprano lead too, like and then like thrash rock. And so and all those bands would always have a couple acoustic songs on each record.
Right.
And so that was the first stuff he started playing. And he was good at it.
Cool.
He wrote, a handful of songs and he was good at it. And we did a couple open mics and he was awesome. And he always played bass. I got him a bass. He played bass in his school band when he was a kid, the jazz band or whatever, the concert band and all that stuff. But, and that was fun to watch him as a kid. But where he started to really just embrace it was hip hop and rap. He's got Logic and he produces beats and he writes lyrics and he's big into hip hop and rap and he's a badass rapper.
That's awesome.
But he also over the last couple of years he started to, so he always worked the door at the Burn Backroom series, and he's great for
Did
working.
when I was there.
Yeah, well, he lives with us now, but he would, when he lived with his mom, it would just be like part-time thing, But now he does it all the time, and then he wanted to be an engineer, and I started to train him, and the two of us, it's like father-son. Like, we love each other, and we vibe great, but, when I started to teach him how to engineer, he was like, fucking, Dad, you suck at this. And I'm like, ah, and I probably did suck at it. Like anybody, you treat your kid different than you treat, some random kid who's learning engineering, so we didn't.
Yeah.
It just started going, meh. So Joyce, who was my head engineer there, I was like, Joyce, you got to train this kid. And Joyce trained him in a week. So now he's him and Joyce are the engineers for the concert series.
It's so much more convoluted when you're like, hey, do this. He's like, well, he thinks, his whole childhood, all the memories, everything you've ever said to him, did you say it the right way? What was his face doing? Does he think I'm, a worthy human being?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Trigger,
Totally.
trigger. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Not listening anymore. I'm your
that's-
child, and I'm hearing you
Joyce
tell me
trained
you
him
don't
well.
love me. Good. Well,
Yeah.
go Joyce. Good for Joyce. And
So
that's
he's
awesome.
an engineer too. He's got great ears, so he's great. He's a great producer. Yeah,
And he's
awesome.
18. Is he?
And he's
What's
18.
he? Does he want to go into music? And
I think it's such a strange time to be
Yeah.
18 years old.
right, I know. I was just
Let
talking to a kid
alone-
the other day. Yeah. Go.
No, go ahead.
Well, just
I'm
briefly, people talking about what their college experience is like. This kid's like, I'm going back to college. I'm gonna take a
Right.
couple classes online, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm living with my parents. I'm
So
taking
for
a couple
him,
classes.
he's an alternative human being.
Well, good.
He was in a program that basically got him a high school diploma. But
Yeah.
it wasn't. He left high school behind. He was tired of it. He's a brilliant kid, smart,
That's awesome.
well
Awesome.
studied. He'll
Awesome.
tell you all about the state of politics and every point of view right now. He's not his political opinion doesn't guide his knowledge of world politics. He
That's
has
so
his
good.
opinion, but he's educated
He
himself.
knows where it's. Yeah, good for him.
And
awesome.
he doesn't want to go to college.
Yeah.
He says he would go to college if he knew exactly what he wanted to go for.
Yeah.
But he is absolutely against 13th grade. And sees college as a terrible business. Even right now with all everything the colleges are doing, it's they're just
Yeah.
figuring out ways to get your money and keep you in somehow. Yes, you're
Right.
coming to campus. Oh, okay. False promises and okay, you're going to classes. Okay, you're not going to classes, but making you pay for housing and all this stuff. He's so anti-college at this point.
Yeah.
So, but he's got an amazing work ethic. But here's this COVID thing. So he was producing and he was doing the engineering, but he was asking himself questions like, whereas me, I've always been hey, I got this steady Sunday and a steady Monday and a steady Tuesday, and I got gigs on the weekends, and I'm paying my rent. Let me just drink. I'm happy.
Right.
He's always asking, okay, I've got this engineering. How can I further this? What is the next step of this? I'm going to take all I can out of this thing? How do I manage this series? How do I get an engineering gig at the Sinclair or at the next bigger venue? Or how do I go on the road with somebody? What do I need to know? So we started to study like all the digital platforms and stuff like that. He's always thinking that way. He's always thinking like, he'll say like, hey, every hip hop artist I know has like 5 revenue streams.
Yeah,
one is
diversify
fashion,
your money.
One is the music. One is the show, the podcast. Like, you know, so...
That is one thing my dad always taught me, is to have as many sources of income as you can.
Right,
Don't just make all your money in one place.
Right. Your dad is a guru.
He's so smart. And he didn't go to college. He's like the smartest person I know.
Right. So here he is. So right now, but he's also 18 years old. And like he's trying to get a credit card and he can't fucking get it. Meanwhile, this kid has been making money with me and he like it's all in savings. He's not burning through it. And like
That's great.
So but right now he's basically working at the Burn.
Yeah.
And he's just working the door. He's got a job essentially in these COVID times where nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. So he's sitting at the door, he's wearing a mask, he takes everybody's name and phone number and he guides them to the seat. He's got the sanitizer. But he's good with like the staff and he's good like he's like, hey, what else do you need done? So like, you know, my I call them my bosses, the Burn, you know, Tommy and Louise. Louise says to him, you're gonna be a bartender here. You're gonna be a bartender here. So then we have a conversation, it's like, listen man, here's my advice. If you are a bartender, like there's really good money in bartending.
Right.
You know, the mistake is the bartenders, it's such a brutal job. They piss it away on vacation every chance they get, and all of a sudden they've gone 4 years and they don't have savings because they've like made a shit ton of money and spent a shit ton of money on frivolous things. So it's like the best stories I have about that is like the people who bartended for 5 years, then had enough money to open a fucking place.
Right.
So that's
save your money.
These are the directions
work the grind.
this kid. I feel these are the directions this kid's going to go in. So I have a lot of faith in him.
Well, that's great. I mean, you gotta just sort of put your nose to the grindstone. I think a lot of kids are like looking for an easy way to just have fun and they don't have a similar work ethic to, you know, my generation or your generation or whatever. All of us that didn't have like so many things at our fingertips. I think the work ethic was a lot stronger. Like, you know, if there's something you want, you don't just sort of go online and figure out the quickest way to get it. I remember like when I wanted a guitar, my dad's like, you have to work, and if you can save up enough to buy half of it, then I will buy the other half. But he was never like, I'll just get you that guitar that you want. And, you know, I had to learn like you have to work really hard to get what you want in life. And I don't know that a lot of kids are learning that now. I mean, I hope that they are, and I don't know. It seems like maybe they're not. It seems like a lot of kids are just sort of like hanging out at home playing video games and watching YouTube videos instead of being like, what am I going to do to make my life better? How do I reach goals? What is it that I want to do with my life? Like they're just so distracted and their days are so full that they don't have enough time to think about like not comparing themselves to everybody in this unobtainable way. It's like I actually have a vision for what it is that I want for my life and I'm ready to do it. And then somebody being like, all right, you gotta fucking work. You gotta do it. You gotta work hard.
Kids that are tuned in like that know you gotta work, there's so much knowledge at their disposal. I think they're just badass. I think they really are. Yeah. They're like here and ready to change the world. But I also think that there's so much bullshit and distraction with all of the technology that there is now. And it's easy. Like there's a lot that are just lost. They're just lost. They probably just have no idea what to do. And I don't think that the guidance is there. I don't think the guidance was there in my generation. I don't know about you. I'm older than you. I don't like. I look back to the guidance in my generation, and I think it was. I'm not talking about my parents now. I'm talking about the system. The system, you know? I honestly think the guidance was not there. I think it was easy. The kids who, like, had great... I think it was very scholastic. Like, the kids who had the great grades and they were going to go... They're great. They went on and they did that in school and they got that job. And, like, it's... Which is all... You know, I'm not knocking any of those folks. It was very, you know... But anybody... who like I remember what I didn't really go to college. Yeah. So and everybody who tried to force me into college, and again, I'm not talking about my parents. I was kind of forced to go to college for about a year, actually 2 semesters. The first and second semester of my freshman college year, and I basically just got sick. I didn't want to go. I got bullied into going. I felt sick. Someone else paid for the first year, not even my family, like somebody else, like a family friend. Like, God, all good intentions, amazing intentions, you know. And my folks were like, "Who's paying for your fucking like?" But I felt like this pressure to do it, and then I did it. I just didn't have any focus on it. It was just a terrible experience for me. And the societal norm was definitely like, go to school or push a broom. Like, that's the way the 80s were. I graduated in 1988. It was like all the fucking stupid movies with the, Breakfast Club and all that stuff. It very much was like that.
It was all college. Yeah.
It really was. It really was. It was like, you either had good grades and went to college, or you were looked at like a fucking piece of shit. Like, you really, like, and I feel like there is still some of that. Maybe not as bad as it was in 1988 or the years leading up to me graduating college. But there still is, like, especially with parents. I mean, I tell people say, "Oh, Sawyer's 18. What college is he going to?" It's like,
right, because that's like the next logical step. I know.
Because that's not the next logical step. I don't make $150,000 a year.
Right.
Like, I don't even make $100,000 a year. I don't even make $50,000 a year. It's some, I guess.
It's like, what are you going to pay for?
But kids, like, Sawyer's got friends who, like, their parents pressure them, blah, blah, blah. Like, this kid goes to work at 6 o'clock, and I'm babbling now, Sarah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
This kid goes to work at 6 o'clock, he leaves here at 5 o'clock, and he gets there and works from 6 to either 1 or 2 in the morning on an average night. He works 5 days a week.
Wow.
He gets home, and then, like, he goes online and plays some PlayStation, talks to his friends, hangs out, has his food. On his days off, he goes out, he gets a lot of exercise, he gets a lot of daytime. But, like, he went away with 2 kids that are in his bubble up to a cabin where there's, like, nobody was living there. It's a friend of the... And one of the parents kept saying, well, why isn't he leaving? Why aren't you leaving 9 o'clock in the morning? Why aren't you leaving at 8? Why aren't you leaving? And they couldn't understand the fact that this was his work schedule.
Right.
And here's my kid going, like, do you want me to drive on 2 hours sleep?
Right.
Do you want? This is not my schedule. Like, I'm,
Yeah.
and like what? And it wasn't even like the woman. She didn't own that house. It was someone else's house that were going to. So it was just like annoyed at the fact that her daughter was leaving to go somewhere at 3 in the afternoon or 4 in the afternoon instead of 9 in the morning. It's just like she was so annoyed at the lack of societal norm that, like, it was this huge fucking issue. And it's like, that's a problem in society, and that's a problem with our kids, and that's a problem with, like, with the lack of acceptance with kids, and that puts a lot of fucking pressure on kids too. And
even now, that's a thing. You know what I mean? That's surprising to me that even now she's like, being demeaning and controlling about something that, everybody's really, and this has always been the case, everybody's really just trying to do the best they can. Yeah. But, like, right now, at least he has a job. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's got a job, and he probably enjoys it, and, like, I mean, I'm sure you feel this way, but there's a place for everybody to feel like it's okay for me to have whatever means I need in order to be okay and to function and make a little bit of money. I mean, wherever that comes should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I understand the whole, like, 9 to 5 notion and, Monday through Friday work schedule that so much of the world adheres to, but I think one thing, and I hope one thing will come out of this all with, is a little bit more acceptance of the fact that a lot of people really don't live that way. Everybody's like, what day is it? I don't know what day it is. It's the weekend.
Yeah, there's so many.
So, like, just chill the fuck out and let people do the best they can. And
a lot of people are on unemployment, and like the whole, like, I was talking to somebody, they couldn't understand the gig worker thing.
Yeah.
It's like, not everybody has a normal fucking job.
Right.
but those people pay their taxes.
Right.
I'm self-employed, but essentially I'm a
Right.
gig worker.
Right.
So I've been paying my taxes plenty.
Right.
Taxes for it's amazing how much the first couple years I was like, how much? I'm like, oh my god, because I have to
I
pay
know. It's like a third of your salary.
regular
but-
taxes and self-employment taxes. I have to basically double the taxes everybody else does. I have to pay I'm an employee and an employer.
Yeah.
And
And then,
and all of a sudden I'm in the crowd gathering business. So all of a sudden I'm
Right.
out of a job. So
Right.
there was no such thing as unemployment for me.
Right.
So,
Right.
but the gig worker unemployment, I had to explain to somebody. It's like, yeah, man, I pay my fucking taxes,
Right. I just have to be really creative and self-motivated in order to make an income.
Which I'm trying to do right here. Adapt or die.
Donate, 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 donate. Don't be late. Ain't it great? Donate. Hey, donate. Don't be late. Eat a donut and donate some of that donut to my face. Donate. Don't be late. It's so great. Figure 8.
As long as I don't clap, I can clap because it looks like I'm clapping even no Cyrus is clapping. You have to keep clapping.
Remember someone was like, the clapping
Looks like
part didn't
I'm
work.
Clapping. Yeah, we're gonna make the clapping work. I'm just doing silent clapping.
Nope.
Looks like I'm clapping, but I'm not. It's Sarah clapping. I don't know. I lost it again. Apparently, I'm a bad improv partner. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's the things you learn.
It says it on my review. Good at improv, bad at being an improv partner.
It's not as easy because then all of a sudden you think, well, that person didn't say what I thought they were gonna say, or I had an idea and then they said that, and now I don't know what my idea was.
Well, have you ever seen the whole improv comedy group thing?
It's so great. Yes.
Now, I wonder if anybody's tried to do that on Zoom. They must have. They
I
must have.
hope so.
Right?
I've had a couple of awkward birthdays. And one of them was when I went to the Hong Kong and Harvard Square, and I wanted to see some comedy.
Yeah.
So there was some improv going on, and it was not good. And I remember people being like, why did we come here? Whose idea was this? And I was like, it was my idea. And they were like, we have to go.
Comedy is really rough when it's not good.
Oh, it's like
painful.
But I mean, I don't know if you've been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is on every Amazon box that you order right now for some reason.
No.
But do you have Amazon Prime?
It's a friend of my mother-in-law has, yes.
Good.
Yes. I
Well,
have that.
the streaming.
I have access.
You have access to it. Oh my god, Siri just thought I said her name again. But it's like the best show ever. And she becomes a stand-up comic, and she's brilliant. But they talk about, and I related to this so much, how many times you have to bomb.
Yeah. This is my Amazon Prime access.
There you go. There she is.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks, Claire. Oh, is that your mom?
Yes, Danielle's mom.
Wait, Siri. Oh my god, Siri just blocked you out by saying no problem and uh-huh. Okay, what did you say? That's your mom?
I said, this is Danielle's mom.
Oh, hi, Danielle's mom.
Yep, she's the best.
Well, Amazon Prime is invaluable, and it is valuable because it's expensive, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's
No,
nice.
yeah. Yeah, I have access.
Can you stream shows, though?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, that's my PSA is that PSA? Yeah, PSA for the night.
I have I went to the Hong Kong. I played the Hong Kong a couple times.
Stop! Like music? Like in different parts of the restaurant? Whoa!
Like back when I used to do the subway and write comedy songs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They used to play me on WERS back when they had do you remember the ERS Coffee House?
Yeah, of course.
They did away with it. It was such a great show and
I know,
a wonderful asset to the folk
way
music
AAA.
community.
I know.
And say again?
They went way AAA
Yeah, I guess that's what it was. It used to be
for
so
a
great.
college station.
I found that's how I was introduced to all the great folk acts, and I was just a young kid in Alston, kind of pounding away on my guitar and thinking I was a punk rocker, and I heard all these great folk acts. I'm like, oh, there's. So I started to get some time there at ERS, and the fellow who runs one of the Rick Jenkins, who runs the comedy studio. Great dude, awesome dude.
I know. I think I know him.
Yeah, super huge supporter of the music, the comedy scene. Obviously, heard me, and I think I went in to try to get the gig, and he had heard me on ERS, and he was like, "Oh, I've heard you," and so he put me on like doing 2 songs in a variety show, and I did okay. Comedians don't like musicians. Comedy audiences are okay with musicians. I did okay. Did like street signs in Boston suck, and just did but I did all right. But it's not really it wasn't the place for me. I wasn't trying to do like a musician comedy thing. I was a musician who just happened to write some funny songs from time to time and play them in the street. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But he was nice enough to give me the gig, and I did it a couple times. But this one time I did it, the comedians were great. I always had a nice response from the audience. He always asked me back. But they did this thing at the end, it was called, I don't remember what the fuck it was. But it was improv. There was like the whole premise of the show, whether I even realized it or not at the time, I think was to out-offend each other.
A slow burn
in Cambridge, Massachusetts, right? So there was a judge and 2 people trying to out-offend each other, and like a comic stenographer, like a quippy, like, "Hey, blah blah blah," and the whole thing, it bombed. It was bombing terribly, and I don't want to get into subject matter. I don't want to throw it under the bus because, it wasn't as bad as like fucking Kramer losing his mind on a black person. It wasn't as bad, but it was basically the subject was all right. I just got to tell the fucking story. The subject was the Oscars the year Halle Berry and Denzel Washington won the Oscars.
Okay.
So then they just try to keep out offending each other about 2 black people who won the Oscars. Okay?
Yeah.
Except it was just fucking racial jokes in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and everybody was fucking white.
Oh man.
Okay, and I'm not pinning this to Rick because I think Rick knew it was a fucking bomb too. If I remember right, I got a note from Rick later on. He was like, "Yeah, that was fucking terrible," and and I also do understand that comedians do toe the line and go for it sometimes, and when they nail it, it's genius. Right. But when they don't nail it, it's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like bordering insulting and all that.
So this thing was going on, and the whole room was just like for 5 or 10 minutes. And so you said your birthday, the comedy wasn't good. So how terrible that silent tension is,
Oh, it's bad, yeah.
And finally, one of the guys, and he's a nice guy. He didn't mean anything against me or anything, but he just kind of and I don't know why I fucking said it. In retrospect, I should have kept my mouth shut. Nobody likes a heckler, and I was on the stage, so I should have been supportive of the stage, I suppose. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe something needed to be said. Okay,
right,
so I'm judging myself, and I'm a jury for myself, and I'm not sure what my decision is. But anyway, the guy goes, "Oh, what do you fucking know, parody boy? Wipe that look off your face." And it's not that he said that I wasn't offended that he attacked me or anything. It was just like.
I would have been like, "Fuck you, die, run in hell." Whoops, sorry, my teenage baby came out.
Yeah, but it was just my opportunity, and just out of my mouth came out like, I just went, "This sucks." And it's not like I started the heckle, like he heckled me, and I wasn't like, "Shut up, you buffoon, you silly ass backward racist." Like I could have even played into the sketch, and still made my point, but I think I was just like, "This sucks."
Yeah, can we not talk about this anymore?
And how that room got quieter, I don't understand, because the room got even fucking quieter.
Because they were like, "We agree."
Yeah, and and the guy said, "Blah blah." I was like, "No." I was like, and I just was like, "Stop! This is fucking terrible. This is terrible." Now, the guy who said that to me had no anger or malice, but the guy who was the host of that show, and I think it was his brainstorm, not Rick Jenkins.
Oh, okay.
I think feeling the tension of this thing bombing this hard, fucking physically and verbally attacked. First verbally attacked me. And then,
Yeah.
like, we didn't go to fisticuffs or anything. He never got near me, but he came off the stage. He was like, "You the fuck are you, the heckle, you motherfucker, blah, 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 blah." He was like fucking screaming and yelling.
Oh my
it was
God.
bad. It was, and this is before
Do
the
people like
internet
that
is
part
what
of
it
the
is.
show?
Yeah, this is before the internet is what it is. And there was like chat rooms. So
Right,
then another
of
friend of
course.
mine, 2 days later, the next day, writes me, like a friend of mine who's a comedy writer, he writes me, "What the hell happened at the comedy studio last
my
night?" I'm
God.
like, I was like, "Were you there?" He's like, "No," but he gave me the link, and it was just like, it was amazing. It was like this
my
whole
God.
thread of people, like throwing. Now this is a very insular scene,
Right.
so it was a whole thread of people throwing me under the bus, like showing pictures of homeless people and putting it in Park Street and like being at me and like, you know. So then now I'm on the thread. So now I'm like, I start going for the throat, and and then the tide started to change a little bit. And then I started getting private messages that were like, "Hey man, listen, this is a very insular scene, and you struck a nerve, and don't take it personally, and they're actually really good guys, and blah 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 blah." But I'm sorry. This is a podcast that's supposed to be about you, and I'm live streaming.
No. This is.
I'm taking
no,
over.
this is good. No, this is good. You have
I should
stories
be paying
that
you.
are.
You're my therapist.
All right, let's go. $5 a minute. No, that's. I mean, this. You know, I think being an artist and a musician and living in Boston and whatever. I mean, I think you have amazing stories, and I think part of having a podcast is telling those stories. It's.
That's a true story. The Hong Kong.
You know, So my only question to you though, so they were sort of making jokes at the fact that 2 black people had won awards.
It was.
Were they black or were they white?
Everybody in the room was white, including everybody on stage.
So that feels very racist, doesn't it?
It was racist, not in retrospect.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, it would have ended careers with cell phone cameras today.
Right. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that sort of tongue-in-cheek line that you talk about that the comedians walk.
Yeah.
But when is that okay? I think it's okay if, like, you know, I think it hadn't been, and not to say that this is okay for anybody, but I think, you know, if it was like Eddie Murphy and, you know, I don't know, I can't even think of a...
Well, comedy is an interesting thing. It often doesn't age well. But it doesn't...
Well,
and I don't know if that means it's any more or less brilliant 10 years later.
But PC is temporal. Like, whatever is politically correct today is not going to be cool tomorrow. Like, I'm calling people with dark skin black, and I always, my whole life was like, you're supposed to call them African American. But, like, now you're supposed to call people black. And, like...
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there's, like, as a minority, as a Jew, like, it's a totally different world. But there are things that you can say and things that you can't say, and that's going to change tomorrow. And I don't know. I mean, not to, or we can go down this rabbit hole, but it's a mess right now.
You know, someone's like, well, if they can say it, why can't I say it, blah, blah, blah. I think to go even deeper on that, there are things you can say and things you just shouldn't say.
So correct, and in so many different ways. But I think a lot of people make it okay by being playful with it. I mean, so Aaron works with a lot of kids with dark skin, and you know, they're listening to all this rap music. It's like, my nigga. Like, but you can't just go around casually saying that word for obvious reasons. And if you say it the wrong way, like, that is so incredibly hurtful. Yeah. And it's so wrong.
And the kids are, it's interesting what kids will say and do, and you know, you can't cancel kids.
Your job is to educate them,
you know?
Right. And tell them not to use their voices, just...
I was watching an episode, a movie. COVID, and now when I moved to this place,
you don't have to make excuses about watching movies. You're like, it's COVID, so I'm watching.
Wait till I tell you what movie I was watching. Wait till how deep I've gone
into the.
Punky
Brewster goes to Paris.
Yeah. Essentially, you know, when you're Netflix and you keep going. No,
like, 1972. But I got 6 hours, so.
But I've never had, I got the very best internet you can get because I need the internet to do these things, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And, Yeah, and so I'm scrolling through these movies, and like it's the middle of the night, everybody's asleep, and I put on Walter Matthau, Bad News Bears, the original Bad News Bears.
Oh my
All right,
God.
Walter Matthau has a freaking styrofoam cooler in the back of his convertible, and he's drinking beers and driving through traffic. And like,
Road
and he's the
soda.
coach of the team, and nobody thinks this is like a bad thing. The parents are there, and he's like got a flask, and he's smoking cigars, but the
Everybody
kids are
did.
what's interesting because there's a Spanish kid, there's a black kid, there's a bunch of white kids, and the kids tooling on each other are using like again by today's standards, you'd be like, oh
Right.
my god, like the worst freaking slurs and slangs and Asian and doesn't matter, like the worst shit, screaming across the field, screaming in the dugout, and it's interesting, like, okay, so these words are fucking terrible, and we should be teaching the kids not to use these words, but it's like, it's interesting because kids are always going to razz each other. I mean,
Right.
of course, they should be taught to be supportive, and at some point in the movie, they all get supportive of each other,
Right.
But it's like kids are always going to razz on each other, and like in friendly fire, we're all going to razz. Like I do it every Thursday night. We joke about each other. I make a joke about Tim Lewandowski, call him a perv, and then he does this crazy belly dance, So like,
Yeah.
is somebody gonna? He said the word perv like 10 years down the road. Like, it is interesting. It all can go overboard so fast,
It can.
You lose the human element real quick.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of like screenwriters would script in more racial slurs because they were more acceptable. I feel like someone just put lack of malice is key. Oh, that's
Yes.
saying his mom. Yes,
It
the
really,
intention.
it really is, yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think, yeah, absolutely. The intention behind so many things, whether it's what we're saying or what our actions are, that's truly the essence of like being a good human. And I think, some people feel moved to do a lot of protesting. Some people feel moved to post memes. Some people feel moved to write letters to the governors, whatever it is. But the intention behind whatever your action is, I feel moved to be like a really good person on whatever scale I can at all times. And that's always been my motive. I don't ever want to cause harm to anyone. And I don't understand people that do want to cause harm. I think it is a very sick country. Oh my God, Siri. She's obviously very sick. But yes, I think the intention behind our actions, behind our thoughts, behind how we interact with each other is what will make the change. I don't understand. I don't comprehend racism. I don't comprehend people that are careless. I don't comprehend, hatred and violence and those things, yet they still exist. And it comes from a very sick place, and it also comes from people acting like those things are okay and not doing anything about it.
I think it can come from a sick place, but it could also just come from unenlightened place. I guess.
Well,
that's what I mean,
yeah,
but I don't want to
exactly.
say it 'cause it makes you sound.
But
a
it's
little too woke
true.
for your own good.
Stupidity breeds stupidity.
Yeah.
Over
yeah,
and
I
over
just-
and over again.
Yeah, if you were brought up a certain way or in a certain environment. I mean, I grew up. I
Yeah.
told you about the Long Island fire truck thing with the Confederate flag. I mean, that's the hometown
Right.
I grew up in. And
Right.
Long Island is in order to leave Long Island, you have to cross water or go through the most congested city probably in the country. It's just so
Right.
so like just this spot. You have to get through this one spot. That
Yep.
probably sorry, but
My sister-in-law's from Long Island. Yep.
yeah, so it definitely breeds. It's definitely like a good side, bad side of the tracks type of place, especially along the South Shore. It's like everything south of the tracks is always rich by the water, and everything north of the
Right.
tracks is where all the black people ended up. And and for me, it was the '80s. It was just crack, and it was fucking terrible. It's like it was really a other side of the tracks all along the southern train of Long Island.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I moved, started spending time in New York City as I got out of high school, and then some years later I moved to Boston. I was like, oh, like I knew that fucking joke wasn't funny, but now it's been clarified as to why it's not funny. And as a kid, I grew up even telling that joke.
Right.
Hey, how many black people? Blah blah blah. The answer is this. You know, like, and it's just like it's not. There was. I don't think there was any malice in me telling a joke. You know, it's like Polish jokes. There's no malice when you're a kid and telling those jokes. It's just funny, and it's you know, the funny part isn't the fact that a person is black or Polish. The funny part is the punchline.
Someone laughed.
You know?
Someone laughed, and you're like, oh, I can make someone laugh by saying these words.
But you don't realize that when you're growing up, and as you grow up, you start to, you know, hopefully you are enlightened. It's like, yeah, let me, you know. But I think one of the problems today is, and I don't know if it's social media, or I mean social media, we just go there all day, but everything's so like I don't want this to be an anti-Trump thought. I do think it comes from Trump dividing. Okay, Trump is just dividing. He sends out a dividing message, but then it's answered with the same dividing energy.
Right.
And it's just there's nobody going like, hold on a second, man. Like there's no social media is like it's taken the real conversation and human element out of everything. And there's nobody saying, all right, you know, all it is like, you know, close the border and shoot people.
Right.
But you're putting kids in cages and like, that's it. That's all there is. There's no, all the stuff in the middle is gone. And I'm like, listen, you know, it's all, they're terrible problems, but there's no conversation to fix them anymore. It's the leaders have become the people who can get the most fans on their side. It's like, are there more border people or are there more non-border people? It's like, and the person who's like, well, let's fix this problem, that person's out of the mix. There's no votes there. There's no money there.
No.
There's no backing there. And that's everything. That's racism. That's sexism. That's classism. It's everything. We're really going down a disturbing path. It's fine. We were up in Canada a bunch of years ago, and somebody we were way in the fucking backwoods, way up in Canada, and we were doing like this bed and breakfast thing. And the guy who hosted the bed and breakfast, his son walked us to our cabin. He's like, America, huh? And this is 6 years ago. It's like, America, before Trump. He goes, yeah, headed toward a civil war.
Yeah, I remember my sociology class in high school.
Yeah.
They were like, America's going to experience a great falling of, you know, as an empire, as one of the strongest powers in the world, it's going to begin to crumble. And he basically laid out all of the reasons why and all of the systems financially, you know, the debt we're in, the climate, everything. I mean, people have known this for a long time. We're just like living it. And I think like a lot of the political divide right now is because everybody's just like, we have to get this asshole out of the office. So it doesn't even matter what the other guy stands for at this point. Let's just get him out of there because we need, you know, what he's doing is it was never working and is still, you know, proven to not work. But
yeah. But the important thing to remember is, and like, I'm lucky enough to have a kid who I have a lot of faith in and educates me, which is the way it's supposed to be. Keeps his father in check. Yeah. You know, the nice thing is he actually did come in the other room the other day. He's like, Dad, I just want to thank you for instilling like work ethic in me and good energy. Like, he said all these really nice things, and I didn't realize that's where he was going. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know, and Danielle's like, put your phone down. Your son's trying to be nice. I'm such an asshole, you know. I'm like fucking just not paying attention. I was paying attention, but I was, you know, anyway. But he, you know, so I guess I've guided him on a path that is good. But it's the youth's job to, you know, to teach your children, you know. Verse 1 is about teaching your children. Verse 2 is about teaching your elders, you know. Yeah. And I got off a motorcycle ride, and I was north of here, and I was saying some fucking Trump truck with the sticker and the blah 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 and fucking, and you know, and the one sticker was like Trump 2020, which is like, fine, that's your choice, that's your guy. But the other sticker was like, love your country or leave it. And that's where we have the fundamental problem. That's where it's like, that's more than just supporting your guy. It's this level of racism, classism that's just fucking terrible. And but I think I said some fucking Trump guy, and that's where my son schooled me. He's like, you can't say that. He's like, I grew up in Vermont, Dad. I grew up with just hardcore folks that are probably Trump supporters. I'm not in touch with them anymore, but it's like, but these are good people. These are people who taught me how to build and taught me how to like farm and grow and construct. And they were gun. You know, Vermont is. You know, Bernie Sanders is actually a gun guy for his state because Vermonters love their fucking guns. You know,
right?
And and like they taught him how to fire a gun properly. You know what I'm saying? He's like, these are good people. You can't call them fucking Trumpers or whatever it is. You know, and that's where the divide needs to stop if we're going to not have this doom and gloom outcome like we were just talking about, like you're a social studies teacher or my shirtless Canada guy who's like walking around on fucking, you know, in the woods telling us we're gonna have a civil war, that guy, you know. But yeah, it's funny. It's interesting these times. We are in interesting times.
We are really in interesting times, and I hope people can remember that fundamentally we are more alike than we are different. And yeah, people want to profess what they believe in, and they want to be right, and they want to have more money, and they want to be more successful. But I do think that these times have really exposed a lot of the values of what actually really truly is important for us as humans. You know, time with your family, time outdoors, you know, good food and shelter, like just sort of getting back to the basics where the extravagance, I mean, even people with like billions of dollars, like they're sitting in their homes like, why the hell do I have all this stuff? You know, there's a comedian I follow, and he's basically just, his name's Sebastian Maniscalco. I don't know if you know him.
No, I don't.
He's cool. You would love him. He's unbelievable. And, you know, he's just like out in his pool. Like, I'm fucking as scared as the rest of everybody to go outside. Like, why do I have all this stuff? You know, it's just, I'm very intrigued to see what will happen. And my hope is that we will enter into a healthier phase of existence.
You said you've been doing some like Zoom therapy during all this?
For me or for other people?
No, for other people.
Yeah, that's the music therapy I do, and there's also some counseling to it as well. But
how, I guess, I mean, we can't obviously talk about specific folks, that would be weird, but like in general, how are people like take me through like a session, like how are people responding to the therapy and or responding to the outside influence of everything that's going on?
Sure, yeah. And then I'm gonna probably pass out because I'm
I know
old.
I tend to
I can talk to you forever. I'm just old.
No, I started this thing, I'm like, it's good. An hour is good, and I always end up going 2 hours.
It's good. We could talk forever. Yeah, so I mean, I think at baseline, everybody's anxieties are really high. I think it's affecting people with OCD and a lot of a stronger, you know, worse capacity. I think it is making people feel depressed. I think people who are isolated are more isolated than ever. You know, they're grappling with like not even being like, think about, you have a wife, right? I have a husband. Like, we're getting hugs every day. People that are living alone.
We're lucky.
Yeah, we're so lucky, and they're not getting hugs. So the people that I'm working with right now, it's primarily kids with special needs. So it's like kiddos with autism and cerebral palsy and things like that. So I think I've had to redefine my role as a therapist, where I'm always trying to optimize the therapeutic value and really provide a session that aims to meet all of the goals that I have for them, whatever they are. But I had a little bit of a reality check the other day where like I was doing one of those outdoor music therapy sessions, and I was like, man, there's so many things for the kiddos to be distracted by. And the behavior specialist,
messed up, or for the most part, or like,
yeah, they're all messed up. But the behavior therapist was like, she's like, yeah, but I feel like that's so important for them right now.
right?
That they're distracted. And I was like,
Huh?
I really hadn't thought about it that way, where they're so, they're spending all their time online, like doing classes and whatever it is that they are doing, thinking, dealing with mom and dad's stress, feeling the effects of the pandemic, like nothing is normal. But for them to just be outside, like looking up at the trees,
right,
that has such a tremendous therapeutic value that I don't think I ever thought was part of my role as their therapist, was just to be providing like that space. Because a lot of the music therapy that I do is so coactive. It's like a lot of it is like playing instruments and playing together. But just having that like safe musical space where they can like relax and
do you interact with parents at all too? Or do you interact, is it like a staff that brings kids to you? Or?
No, typically because there's a lot of like buttons to push and like this, like operating Zoom, maybe they all can't do that. So a lot of times there's a parent right there with them, or their PCA, or like a family member. But yeah, I don't really see anybody one-on-one right now. I just see groups of people with their parent or family member. I have one private client, and 2 people join him. They're both family members. Mm-hmm. And I think honestly, it's therapeutic for them too.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It must be, Yeah, it's
there's always like a brother or sister
where they're there, but they're not like, you're the focus, like you're doing the work.
Yeah.
So it's even though they're there, it's still a break for them, and also an opportunity to see their child shine.
Right. So I'm moving away from like a lot of the, Jonathan will strike the drum 4 times within 3 seconds of therapist providing verbal cue, with 50% accuracy, in 7 out of 10 sessions. It's like, it's more like, Steven will look at the screen the whole time and then, dance. So it's just, it's different goals.
How do you feel the kids are responding as opposed to the in-person? Is it different? It's obviously different, but
it's so different.
Is it case by case, better or worse?
It's hard to define as better or worse. I would say it's weirder.
Yeah.
Where for kids that were working on the goal of sharing, I could pass a drum around a circle. Right now, we're not doing any of that.
Right.
Even in person, it's like I'm just singing and playing guitar. One thing I've started doing is like making instruments out of recycled materials, and then the kids can take them home with them and they can bring them back. And I've been encouraging them to bring instruments with them, but not everybody has stuff at home. So, even like making the instruments has been one of the therapeutic activities. And then just using them in the groups.
Jeez, that is work.
What's that?
That is work. That's the real deal. You're.
It's pretty awesome. I love. It's funny. Like there was. Yeah.
I didn't go in. I feel bad because it's late, and we definitely should wrap it up. But like when you told me that you left the job in February, I didn't go into this because I wasn't clear on the different jobs. I didn't realize that you were doing this still. I thought you were not doing this since February. So it's my bad. Like
no,
I
it's
wish I talked about this more because I'm.
Well, I wasn't initially. I was just like, what the hell? I have nothing. But then I have some virtual jobs, and I've been building my virtual practice, and now after 6 months, I'm starting to have a pretty significant caseload, which is nice. But it's been taking a lot of work to get it there. But yeah, the nursing home was really cool. It was such a special program. Sadly, I didn't have the support and staffing or finances to really compensate. I had 10 staff, and there just wasn't a lot of money to pay them, and the expectations were high. But I ran a totally music-based program for the most part. We had like karaoke, drum circles, music appreciation, songwriting, music lessons, a chorus, and then private music therapy and group music therapy, and then lots and lots of performers. So, it was really hard to walk away from, but I just was so burnt out.
When you come home, and Aaron sounds like he has a stressful type similar job too, because the kids are probably a handful.
Can
like
be.
What do you guys do? Like, is there ever a point where you start sharing your day and you're like, let's not talk about anything, anything. Let's have our day. Let's talk about the. Is there any sort of technique you guys use to just like put? Because it sounds like it would be easy to take your jobs home.
We do.
Not in the good way.
We take them home.
Yeah.
But I think it is in a good way because we both do like similar kinds of stuff, so we can understand. So like, sometimes he comes home and he's really amped up, and I've been like meditating, and I'm like, babe, like just hang on. Or like he needs some time to just decompress, and then we can talk about it.
Right.
There used to be days where I'd be like, somebody died, and I'm really, really sad, and I can't talk about it.
Right.
Because that was probably the hardest thing about...
Still processing it, yeah.
Right. It was all the hospice music therapy and people dying. So, but I think we both like to talk about it. Like, we always share our day and everything we did. And I like to talk. And so we share pretty much everything. So I don't ever feel like, I'm like, babe, can you stop talking about the shit that happened today? I'm more like... Tell me everything that happened. Like, what was it like? Tell me how it felt. I like to listen.
Yeah.
And
well,
to
you're
talk.
a good team for it. I mean, it's
are.
the perfect team.
We're pretty alike in a lot of ways and opposite in many others.
Yeah.
As it
Cool.
works. Yeah. Super cool.
I'm going to let you go. I'm going to release you from this servitude.
The stronghold of the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, this has just been so much fun, Tom. This has been such a highlight to
Cool. I've been
being
looking forward to
isolated.
this. Yeah, all week. I always do. I look forward to this show. I look forward to talking with five. You text and you email and you have a little bit of communication with people, but so far I think this is the 6th or even maybe 7th show, and it is accomplishing for me it's therapeuting me.
True.
What is
Therapize.
Therapize.
Therapize. I'm going to be texting you bad therapy puns for the rest of the week.
Yeah, this is
Therapaisano. Isn't that racist?
Yes,
That's racist, right?
I think we both have Italian blood, so we could say it. Right?
I wish I could say I had Italian blood. I just have the nose, but I'm actually Lithuanian and Prussian and Jewish and English and Irish.
I'm Italian, so I give you a pass.
Right, it's like the same
I'm a Therapaisano.
ocean. It's the same sea, so.
I don't think. I mean, I know racism is a terrible thing, but I don't think the Italians. Geez. Let me think about that while I run away with this pizza. It's like
Right.
nobody gives a fuck if you say something racist about Italians. It's like, come on.
Because it's like it's all like you're awesome and you have a lot of money and a nice car. Hey, I gotta tell you the weirdest thing I did during this time, which was also / the awesomest, and I'll make it brief. But this is when I was in Everett. Are you in Everett or Revere?
I'm in Everett.
Everett, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I told you this, but I got hired to sing at a funeral.
Oh wow.
And it was like wild. And I did Alleluia by Leonard Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
I did Amazing Grace, but then they wanted My Way by Frank Sinatra. Well,
Really?
it's not by him, but that's his version
It's
is the most famous
popularized
at this
song
point.
for sure.
But it was like they were all Italian, amazing cars, like just soulful, wonderful, loving family, and it was like I've never sang at a funeral like that wasn't my family members before. And it was such a gift. And I went to this cemetery and sang those songs, and they had them like integrated through the ceremony. And like during Alleluia, like the clouds opened up and this beam of sun came down and just showered me. And It was such a gift, but I was like, wow, I'm like, this is not your tip. I will take any gig right now, but that one was like one that I felt equipped to do and very grateful to do, to hold that space.
That sounds like a beautiful moment. I mean,
it was.
That family must have they'll always remember that.
It was really special. But that was when I did a little therapy.
It was an Italian funeral.
Yeah.
If there was, somewhere in the back, it's like, hey, Nikki was a fucking dick.
Well, they kept
don't talk ill.
They kept talking about all the money that Dad had, and I was like, "Why didn't you guys pay me some more for this gig?" I was like, "I should have quoted you higher." But he was like, "And Dad was always a great tipper." He's like, he was always giving everybody money, and meanwhile, Mom's like, "We don't really have very much of a budget for this, so." I'm like, of course
he tipped too much apparently.
Right, he tipped over.
He tipped.
Too soon. Oh my God.
No, it's good. It's good. There's a classic movie, Dom DeLuise movie called Fatso.
Yes.
Have you seen
God,
it?
No, I have not seen it, but I've heard people have always talked to me about that movie.
Yeah.
I should watch that one.
The whole. Did we talk about it? Did we talk about it last week? I don't know. But the opening, back when they used to do all opening credits in the montage of the movie, setting you up for the movie, it's just Dom and his older cousin growing up together, and they're both fat. They're fat kids, and it's like, eat. Every scene is eat.
Always.
Eat, And they're hiding chocolate bars underneath their altar boy gowns, and they're hiding chocolate bars in school. And then he cut to the movie, and his nephew died. And he's, because he died of being overweight, and that's the whole movie is Dom DeLuise trying to lose weight. He doesn't want to die, and but then they cut to the funeral, and it's funeral, and it's in a house, and rather than today you have a funeral at the home, and it's like the funeral it's in the house, and every time Dom DeLuise goes out and he starts crying, he starts getting upset, like through the montage when he's little, every time he's crying, his mother feeds him. So now he's crying, upset. He runs into the kitchen, takes bread, meatball, he smells it, he eats, and he runs back out. And he starts talking to people, and he gets upset. And every time he goes back to the kitchen, he keeps eating. It's like the classic Italian funeral. This is my family. This is how I grew up.
It's just eating because you were sad.
Just eating because you're sad. Eating because you're sad.
Well, food is pretty much the best thing ever. So.
Oh man, I get sad every time the food's gone. Every freaking time.
Because you put so much heart and soul into making it, right? And then you're like, what the fuck?
It could be anything. We were eating during sound check, and my salmon was gone. I was like,
that looked good. I didn't even eat dinner tonight. That's where I'm at.
You got to eat.
I did have a taco earlier, but that was at like 4. So I think I'm gonna have some dinner.
There's no such thing as a schedule during COVID anymore. You eat when you want. Yeah.
It's true. Well. This has been such a pleasure. I'm so glad to see you always, and
this has been great. Thank you for letting me tangent with you for a little while, and tell Aaron I said hello.
I will tell Danielle I said hello.
It's really nice that you guys are together through this and newly married, and congratulations. And it's interesting. You'll always be able to say like our honeymoon year was in COVID. I mean, that's any monumental occurrence that is happening. Like if you're born this year, if you graduated high school this year,
right.
If you get married through this, it's like we experienced our first real year in isolation together. COVID. I mean, that's crazy. So
we're just so grateful.
You'll always have that.
We got married before all this.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Did you actually get a chance to do a honeymoon?
Long story short, we did
We're never going to end this podcast.
I know. No. We're going to be on till midnight. Let me tell you another story. Or 12. No, we did. We were like, okay, let's go to New Hampshire for a week. And we got up there, and Beasley, he had like a weird thing in his ear, and it really started driving him crazy. So we came home, we canceled our Airbnb, and he had ear surgery. So that was our honeymoon. I think we got like 2 days, but we're getting ready to move, so we're gonna buy some furniture with some of our wedding money.
Congratulations on the move. That's amazing.
Thank
That's
you. We're very
awesome.
excited. Thank you.
Am I allowed to give
And
any
you.
details? You want to keep it private at this point?
Private at this point. Yeah.
Private at this point.
Private eye. Only you know. If people tune back in at midnight, they might find out. We might still be here.
I just make some shit up, you know.
I'll have like a tuna fish sandwich and 3 more glasses of wine, and be like, "I'm just gonna tell you everything."
Yeah, I just made Sarah and Aaron bought a houseboat.
We got a houseboat.
They're gonna live in the Salem Canal.
We're going to the Bermuda Triangle. We figure, what the fuck? Why not? Just go for it. Now's
Hired
the
some
time.
minions to start our new business. What is it? Therapies.
Therapies. They're meat pies. It could be Sarah pies.
Gourmet. What do they call it these days? Boutique pies.
Quiche. Sarah pies. Quiche.
Boutique pies for your
Boutique
therapeutic
pies.
needs.
Wow. That's something I can't get behind. But I bet someone will.
Yeah.
Wait,
No.
have you seen that store, the new store Nothing Bunt Cakes?
No.
It's like a North Shore chain. It's called Nothing Bunt Cakes. I'm like, really?
I don't get it.
Like nothing but cakes, but it's Nothing Bunt Cakes?
But why bunt?
It's like bunt cakes?
I've never heard of a bunt cake.
Okay, Google it.
Is it really a thing?
It's really
Wow.
a thing.
Wow, that I would drive past that storefront every day and go, huh.
Well, so, okay, I'm going to tell you one
I
other
would
quick
have no
story.
idea.
One other quick story, ready? So when I lived in the Catskills, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but I lived in the Catskills, and there was a pizza place down at the end of my road, and it was called Pizza the Rock. And I was always like, why isn't it called the Rock Pizza? Like, I lived there for a year, and I was so confused by it. And then one day, when I was back in Massachusetts, it dawned on me that it's like, a Pizza the Rock.
I would not have gotten that either.
Oh my god, I thought it was like idiotic, and one night I was like, Pizza the Rock.
Oh.
See, on that note.
Oh. And like Aaron goes, what? And you're like, it's not worth it.
Nothing. Yeah, don't worry about
Okay,
that.
go back to bed.
I'm embarrassed by this one.
Yeah.
Done.
Sarah Blacker.
So many good stories.
Yeah, we could do this all. Yeah, that's what I love
many
about
more.
this. I'm so glad this podcast is accomplishing everything I wanted it to accomplish. It's a chat. This is a chat at the bar over a couple pints when the bar even closes and the bartenders are like, we don't have to kick them out. They're cool people, and we're just fucking chatting it up like the old days, you know.
And you should
Love it.
have Mark Lipman on your podcast because he's
I'd love to
brilliant
have
to
Mark.
talk to. And when I go like this, I think of my final story for you for the night, which is when we played at a restaurant in like Winchester or something. And Mark is like my weirdest and favorite friend, where we just like get super weird when we hang out. And we got to the point in the restaurant where I think it was a restaurant gig and there were like 2 people drinking, and I don't think they cared less what we were doing. So we started rapping.
Right.
And we were only supposed to play till 11, and the woman, the owner or whatever, the manager, comes over to us and she just goes,
yeah.
and I was like, we've never been kicked off a
Yeah.
stage before.
You hit that point in the performance where you're slap happy. You know, halfway through the show, you were like, when the fuck do I get out of here? But now it's like 10 after 11, and you're like, I'm on a roll now, motherfucker.
I was like, my friend Mark, he drives Noah's Ark, and she was like, yes.
You don't have to play all the way to 11. 10:55 is enough. Thank
We
you.
never played there again.
Yeah. Yeah.
On that
I've
note.
played that figurative gig. We've all played that figurative
Oh
gig. That's
my God.
amazing. Yeah, Mark's
You're like,
good
it's
dude.
no longer about you guys, it's about us. She was like,
Yeah.
was
That's
good.
funny.
it was real
I'm
good.
so glad that we ran into each other in Salem,
Yay!
chilling out.
Hey, that's us.
That's us.
Aww.
Thanks for doing this. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
I owe you one.
You owe me nothing.
Stay on. I'm gonna fade this thing out like a real engineer, and then but hang out. Don't go anywhere. See,
Okay.
I'm fading your music in. Isn't that cool? And then I'm using my
doing
other
turbo
hand
dances.
to get you off camera. How do I do it? Oh God, fucking, I can't do it. All right, Sarah Blacker, thank you. Yeah, you just did it.
I just muted my camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show. By all means, if you can, donate to the cause. If you can't, I understand. Weird times are weird, and COVID and jobs and things and stuff. But I'll be back next week, and I don't have a guest scheduled for next week yet. I've been taking this thing pretty loose, but so far, week to week, has worked out every single week. I believe tonight was show number 6, and I guess that makes next week number 7. Thank you so much for supporting live music, supporting the artist, supporting cause. If you made it this far, thank you so much for being here. This has been Live Stream of Consciousness. I will see you next week. Thank you very much.